Shangguanqi was embarrassed, and he flicked his sleeves fiercely. Dr. Nalan, what are you talking about? When did I have a marriage contract with your daughter? Today, I came to just visit junior apprentice Nalan. I didn't intend to propose at all. Since there is nothing important, then I will leave first. No. Nalan Feishue almost screamed frantically as she rushed forward. She pulled the crown prince's clothes, crying in fear, Prince brother, you clearly said you want to marry me, how can you go back on your words? I don't want to marry that fat man, I don't marry him even if I die. Prince brother, please save me. Can you please marry me? A touch of pity flashed in Shangguanqi's eyes. He wanted to say something. But when he looked at Nan Gongyu's ambiguous gaze, he suddenly pushed Nalan Feishue away. He said coldly, you already have an engagement with another person. How indecent is that to pester the other guy? Dr. Nalan, is this how you teach your children? Nalan Zhengze's face already turned to green, blue, red, purple, all colors appeared on his face. But now it had developed to this point, Nan Gongyu was dedicated to marrying Nalan Heshi. Shangguanqi obviously did not dare to offend Nan Gongyu. The Zhu family was also determined to marry Nalan Feishue. It was an irreversible situation now. Nalan Zhengze sighed as if he was 10 years older suddenly. He looked at Zhu Yichun, gritted his teeth and said slowly, Master Zhu, since King of Hell has spoken today, then let's settle my daughter's marriage today. Of course it's the best. Zhu Yichun was overjoyed as if he was afraid that Nalan Zhengze would renege it. He immediately said quickly, I have paired the birth of date of Zhu Zhongba and Nalan Feishue, and our Zhu family has already prepared the wedding ceremony. Therefore, let's set tomorrow as the day for the wedding ceremony to prevent any more issues. 3 o'clock in the afternoon tomorrow, our Zhu family's sedan chair will come to take Miss Nalan Feishue. Nalan Feishue's eyes were full of horror, and she tightly grasped Nalan Zhengze's hand. She was crying while shaking her head, Father, don't, I don't want. Zhu Zhongba had already recovered from his father's comfort at this time. When he knew that the person he was going to marry was Nalan Feishue, he immediately smiled happily. He looked at Nalan Feishue tenderly as he said, Miss Nalan Feishue, you will be our Zhu family's daughter-in-law in the future. When you marry to our house, as long as you take care of me, our Zhu family will never treat you badly. The fat face trembled with excitement. The pair of bean-like eyes glanced up and down Nalan Feishue's exquisite body up and down. His eyes were full of wretchedness. Nalan Feishue felt nauseous. She rolled her eyes and fainted like Mrs. Nalan. Zhu Yichun didn't seem to see this scene at all. He smiled and forced Nalan Zhengze to agree to the wedding time tomorrow. Then, warmly invited King of Hell and the Crown Prince to join the wedding ceremony. Only then he left with his son. After Zhu Yichun left, Shangguanqi didn't want to stay any longer. He didn't even chat with Nalan Ziyun. He asked his subordinates to carry the betrothal gifts and left. Compared with the pride expression when Shangguanqi came, his departure seemed like running away in embarrassment no matter how. Nan Gongyu got Nalan Heshi's written marriage proposal from Nalan Zhengze as he wished. After both parties wrote the marriage letter, he left with satisfaction. After Nalan Zhengze sent away Nan Gongyu and others, he looked at the unconscious daughter and wife on the ground, only to feel the blood surging in his body. His vision turned dark, even he almost wanted to faint. Please go to https://www.read light novel. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun on the side saw King of Hell leave, and he finally couldn't help but look at Nalan Heshi, third sister, when did you meet King of Hell? Why didn't you say it earlier? Nalan Mansion is now in a major crisis. As long as King of Hell is willing to help, what else should we be afraid of? Third sister, why don't you say? Heshi curled up her mouth and said without sincerity, oh, I met him a long time ago, but I didn't know he is King of Hell. That's not bad. But this long time ago has to trace back to a very long time. After all, the second time they met, someone declared his identity. Nalan Ziyun's eyes were full of anger, and the expression on his face clearly showed that he didn't believe a single word of Nalan Heshi's words. Third sister, you are so arrogant during this period of time. Is it because you got the favor of King of Hell? But don't forget, Nalan Mansion is your family. If there is no strong family to help you, do you think you can stand firm in King of Hell Mansion? Based on your mortal qualifications with no cultivation base, even the servants of King of Hell Mansion can bully you. Third sister, let's see what you can do by then. Speaking of this, Nalan Ziyun's expression deliberately looked a bit gentle as if he wanted to confide in Heshi. Third sister, you have to know that only me and father are your closest relatives, only Nalan Mansion can be your backing. Only that you can a princess in the King of Hell Mansion. Third sister might as well give us the relics left by mother. As long as our Nalan Mansion becomes stronger, I promise to become the right arm of sister in the future, so that you can firmly grasp the heart of King of Hell. Doesn't sister think that this is the best choice? Heshi couldn't help but laughed, after saying for so long, you just want me to take out mother's relics. Nalan Jingza couldn't help but angrily said, these relics are left by your mother to you and Ziyun, and it is also the hope for the rise of our Nalan family. You should have taken it out. Don't think that you can sit back and relax after marrying to the King of Hell Mansion. Don't forget that you are just a mortal. How long do you think King of Hell's interest in you can last? Nalan Ziyun nodded and continued Nalan Jingza's words, third sister, you can't cultivate. One day you will get old and become a crooked old woman, but what about King of Hell? He is a master of the nascent soul stage. Even if his cultivation is not progressing from then on, he can still live for 1,000 years. Does sister think that when you are old and ugly, King of Hell will still like you? However, it would be different if sister gives us mother's relics. Nalan Ziyun raised his head and smiled seductively. Mother's relics should have many magical prescriptions. By then, father and I will refine more pills that preserve your beauty so that you can catch King of Hell's heart. Is it that sister doesn't want it? It sounds really tempting. Heshi nodded, and the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. Just when Nalan Jingza and Nalan Ziyun were overjoyed and thought she was going to take out Lingyue's relics. Heshi spread her hands slightly and chuckled, it's a pity that I really don't have any relics left by mother. Why do you just refuse to believe it after telling you so many times? After speaking, she left the main hall without waiting for Nalan Jingza and Nalan Ziyun to speak. Only the father and son stood on the spot, staring at her leaving figure. They had the impulse of tearing her apart. Please go to https://www.Riyadh Light Novel. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. As soon as Heshi opened the door of Xianyu house, she was not surprised to see someone sitting in her room smiling and looking at her. Before Heshi had time to say anything, her vision turned blurred suddenly. She had already stumbled and fell into Nan Gongyin's arms. The familiar clear breath spread out with a rare gentleness and a domineering demeanor, just like the feeling this person had always given her. Heshi remembered the scene that had just happened in the main hall. Before Nan Gongyu appeared, she initially wanted to solve these problems by herself, and she was already used to solving all the problems by herself. However, when Nan Gongyu appeared, everything changed. This man undoubtedly stood in front of her, blocked all attacks and humiliation for her, suppressed all rumors and slander for her, and did all the things she had ever wanted to do and did not expect to do. This feeling was amazing. Being protected by a person, being gently held in his palm like a fragile object as if he was reluctant to let her hurt a little. Heshi had never experienced this feeling before, but after getting to know Nan Gongyu, she was protected and cared for by this man again and again. This feeling is strange, but it seems not bad either. Heshi stretched out her hand, hugged Nan Gongyu's thin waist, and pressed her face to his chest. Heshi's rare initiative made Nan Gongyu happy. His Shi'er was always cold and arrogant, just like a beautiful little leopard. She would not bow her head and wouldn't be tamed by others, and she would hurt the others with her paws if they were careless. But now, this beautiful little leopard belonged to him, and she would soon belong to him completely and become his wife. Such recognition made Nan Gongyu exasperated, wishing to hug the girl's petite body into his bones. Qing Wan and Mai Xiang, who were serving in the room, had already stepped out wittily. He Xiang and Chue Lu, sent by Nalan Ziyun, had already knocked out by Qing Wan. The room was quiet, leaving only two people hugging each other. After hugging for a while, Heshi was about to push Nan Gongyu away, but she was pulled back by Nan Gongyu. The low and magnetic male voice whispered in her ear, "Sheer, you haven't answered my question yet? You didn't see me for so long, did you miss me?" N? The man's voice didn't have a youthful and immature tone. It was a deep voice, but it wasn't the rough one. It was like a feather on the tip of the heart, making one's scalp numb. Heshi's face flushed. She tried to get out of Nan Gongyu's arms. However, how could she be comparable with Nan Gongyu's strength? The warm lips held her earlobe and sucked gently, and the man's rogue voice had the touch of pampering and coquettish. "Sheer, I miss you every day, how about you? Do you miss me?" Heshi's ears were already sensitive. Now that her ear was sucked by his mouth, she leaned against him weakly as her feet became soft. When Heshi heard the man's persistent question, the blush on Heshi's face spread to her collarbone. In the end, she couldn't argue with him, and she murmured, "Miss." As soon as she spoke, the red lips were already sealed. Even her breath was swallowed by Nan Gongyu. The hot, deep kiss ended, Nan Gongyu gasped violently, calming down his turbulent impulse. His eyes turned scarlet because of his effort in holding back. Heshi's pink lips were red and swollen. Her face was red like a cooked shrimp. She was panting lightly. She didn't even have the strength to stand. Please go to https://www. Read light novel. cc/ The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Nan Gongyu held Heshi's face. His eyes were burning, and he whispered, "Sheer, I really want to marry you home immediately, otherwise, I'm really afraid I can't bear it." As he said, he also hugged Heshi's waist and bring her closer to his embrace, letting her feel his heated impulse. Feeling the long and hard object pointing at her, Heshi stiffened and pushed Nan Gongyu away. She stared at the man in front of her, and said angrily, You are shameless." Nan Gongyu was pushed into a chair by her, then he covered his chest, lowered his eyes slightly, and showed a painful expression. Heshi was taken aback. He rushed over to grab his wrist and check, "Nan Gongyu, how are you?" However, before the words were finished, she was hugged by Nan Gongyu. Nan Gongyu placed her on his lap with a smug and sweet smile on his face. He leaned to her ear and whispered, "I was initially hurt, but when I saw Sheer worry about me, then it doesn't hurt anymore." "You? Nan Gongyu, can you be more shameless?" Heshi glared at him viciously. In return, Nan Gongyu laughed with no sense of shame. He even bowed his head and kissed the corner of her mouth in a pampering gesture. Only this time, Heshi ignored him and grabbed his hand. This time was no longer the water spiritual power that went into the Nan Gongyu meridian, but the pure wood spiritual power. When the wood spiritual power went in, Heshi knew the injuries and meridian situation in Nan Gongyu's body clearly. Also because of the magical healing ability of the wood spiritual power, when the spiritual power flowed through the stagnant meridians, it would quickly alleviate the damage of the meridians. Nan Gongyu didn't notice anything wrong at first. When he felt his meridians began to heal, his face showed a surprised expression. Nan Gongyu knew from the beginning that Heshi possessed chaotic dantian and 5 elements spiritual power, but he always thought that the so-called 5 elements spiritual power was mainly based on pure water and fire spiritual power. In fact, Heshi had always been using these 2 spiritual power most of the time. But now, Heshi was actually using the wood spiritual power to heal him, and it was so pure that Nan Gongyu had never seen before. Nan Gongyu couldn't help but said, "Sheer, do you know what spiritual power you are using?" Heshi rolled her eyes at him, "I know that wood spiritual power cannot be used casually in front of outsiders. The last time I treated Gu Yofeng's mother, he warned me. It's just that I'm very curious. It's also the spiritual power of the basic attributes of the 5 elements. Why in Miluo continent, there are so few people who can use the pure with spiritual power? Nangongyu did not answer, but he stared straight at her. Seeing that Heshi was getting goosebumps, he pulled her into his arms. He said angrily, "You also know that with spiritual power cannot be used casually in front of outsiders, then you are still using in front of Gu Lufeng, that brat? Is it for you that his relationship with you is closer than me?" Heshi was really feeling angry and funny when she heard him. "When I used with spiritual power in front of Gu Lufeng, I didn't know that it was an ability that could not be displayed in front of outsiders. What's more, didn't you already know that I have the spiritual power of 5 elements?" When Nangongyu heard it, he felt that it was the case indeed. Heshi didn't conceal anything from him at the beginning. It was just that he didn't think about the spiritual power at first. Someone immediately became happy. He kissed Heshi again and again, and he whispered in her ear, "So, I'm the only insider of Sheer, everyone else is outsider, N? Please go to https://www. Read light novel. cc/ the king of hell is genius pampered wife / to read the latest chapters for free." Heshi pushed him away, ignored his crazy words, took out the silver needles and medicinal pills to treat him carefully. "You know that you have internal injuries, you still rushed all the way here. Nangongyu, do you still want to live?" Listening to the girl's seemingly complaining but caring words, and watching her focus on treating him, Nangongyu's eyes looked so gentle as if water could drip out of them. He liked to watch Heshi worried about him and be busy around him. This made him feel that Heshi cared about Nangongyu. After finally dealing with Nangongyu's injury, Heshi finally breathed a sigh of relief. Because of the acupuncture treatment, Nangongyu's shirt was taken off. At this time, he was showing smooth and firm chest muscles and perfectly curved six-pack abs. After the treatment, someone obviously should put on the clothes, but he just threw the clothes aside, shamelessly dangling in front of Heshi, like a peacock showing its tail. Heshi was amused by him. Looking at his perfect and sexy figure, she blushed a little. "Nangongyu, quickly put on the clothes. Do you believe I will put 2 more needles to make you immobilize for a few hours? Is this man really the same person as the evil, cruel and scheming king of hell when I first met?" Nangongyu put on the clothes again slowly, but his scorching eyes were looking at Heshi. It made her heart thump. Even her breathing became flustered inexplicably. But Heshi seemed to remember something as she said in a solemn voice, "Nangongyu, is the matter with Luli's sect related to you?" Nangongyu didn't mean to deny at all. He just pulled her in her arms and smiled happily. "Sheer is really smart." Heshi's eyes widened suddenly, and she said in disbelief, "You really eliminated the Luli sect?" She was initially just guessing randomly. She had never believed it. However, she didn't expect Nangongyu to give her such a definite answer. "But how is this possible?" "That's Luli's sect, one of the 4 major sects of the Miluo continent. There are countless nascent soul stage, gold core stage martial artists, and mountain guard array blessing. In addition, the terrain is easy to defend and difficult to be attacked." "How did Nangongyu do it?" Nangongyu gently stroked her soft silk-like hair, and he said indifferently, "Isn't it just a Luli sect? It's not a big deal for it to be eliminated. Why is Sheer so surprised? Who asked them to be so insensible by provoking my future princess?" Heshi opened her mouth and closed again. It was a long time before she said in shock, "I heard that when Luli's sect was destroyed, the Feng family didn't get any news. Everyone in Luli's sect's door was dead silently. The layers of enchantment and array set outside the sect show no signs of being touched. There are only 2 roads leading to Luli's sect. The enchantments on the front road have not been destroyed at all, so only the back road is left. Is it that you went into Luli's sect through the magical beast forest?" Nangongyu nodded, then he remembered something. He took out a food box from the storage utensils, and he said in aggrieved, "The magical beast forest is full of evil breath. There is no edible delicacy. After I receive this food box, I have been waiting eagerly for Sheer to give me another one. However, I still didn't get it until, Hashi's mouth twitched. Is it time to care about this? She couldn't help frowning and said, is it really okay for you to kill Luli's sect like this? I heard that the Feng family is so powerful. They have a venerable behind them. What if they know? Please go to https://www. Read light novel. cc/ The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Sheer, don't worry. Nangong Yu scraped her straight nose and said softly, I will be here to protect Sheer and myself. I'm still waiting to marry my princess home. As for the incident in Lioli Palace, no one knows that I did it. The Feng family members have been monitoring me all year round. They are very clear about the strength I have, and they believe in their investigation. So, they won't doubt me at all. As Nangong Yu said, his eyes slowly became cold, when they doubt me, it will be their time to die. Hashi was relieved. Thinking that this man killed Luli's sect, whether it was for her or not, she still felt warm in her heart. It was a feeling of being cared for. Nangong Yu glanced at the room and suddenly asked, Sheer, I was just about to ask you, why did you suddenly live in Nalan Mansion? Moreover, you are almost being married to some insignificant people. Speaking of this, Nangong Yu gritted his teeth for a while. If it wasn't for Qing Wan to send the news to me quickly, I would still not know about it. People like Shangguan Qi even dared to think of marrying my princess. I think the Shangguan family is tired of living. Hashi laughed and said, if I don't want to marry, do you think someone can force me? Even if you don't show up, I will naturally have a way to get rid of these people. Meeting Nangong Yu's aggrieved eyes, Hashi blushed. She buried her face into his chest, then she said with a coquettish voice, but Nangong Yu, you are here, I'm very happy. She didn't solve it by herself, but Nangong Yu rushed her at the critical moment to shield her from all troubles, confessed his feelings for her in front of everyone, and had the determination to treat her wholeheartedly. This made her feel extremely happy and sweet. Nangong Yu stiffened. He could hardly believe his ears. After a long time, he took Hashi's face and carefully took off the human skin mask on her face. The light in the room was not very bright, but it couldn't affect the girl's peerless stunning appearance at all. The beautiful phoenix eyes, the tall nose, the pink lips, and the snowy jade-like skin, everything seemed to be carefully carved from mutton fat white jade. It was so perfect and so alluring. Nangong Yu lowered his head and bit on the tip of her nose. His dull voice sounded as if with a hot flame, little girl, don't always seduce me. You know, I don't even have a little self-control when facing you. Hashi pushed him away, and said in annoyance, who seduce you? Nangong Yu hugged her back in his arms. Just as he was about to say something, he heard Az's low voice from outside the door, Miss, someone is coming over here. Do you need me to chase them away? Hashi was taken aback. Her eyes flickered as she said solemnly, no need. Immediately, she jumped out of Nangong Yu's arms in a flash. Feeling the hollowness of his arms, Nangong Yu's face immediately became unsightly. He complained, what's so good about this Nalan mansion, Sheer, if you see them not pleasing to your eyes, I will demolish the entire mansion and let everyone in it to be your plaything. Why bother playing mind games with these people? Are you looking for troubles for yourself? The point was that they finally reunited after not seeing each other for a long time, and he wanted to be intimate with Sheer, but he was interrupted by others. Please go to https://www. Read light novel. cc/ The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Hashi gave a soothing smile and whispered her doubts about Lingyue and his brother. Little Golden Dragon found out that there is a peculiar array in Nailanjing's room. I also threw a purple abyss vine seed into the array today, but this array is really peculiar. As the purple abyss vine seed tries to sprout, Nailanjingza will feel it. I'm also a little helpless now. Strange array. Nangongyu raised his eyebrow. I have some research in array, why don't I go and see it with Sheer? Heshi doubted that Nangongyu even knew about array, then she remembered that he even broke Luli Sek's Mountain Guard Array 9 Turn Earth Mysterious Array. Nalan Zheng's insignificant array might really be a piece of cake for him. So she nodded happily. When Nalan Feishue is marrying tomorrow, everyone in this mansion must be at the banquet at night. The defense in the mansion will be much more relaxed. At that time, we will go to Nalan Zheng's study room to explore. When Heshi and Nangongyu were having an intimate moment, the other people in Nalan Mansion had gloomy faces, their hearts were full of resentment and unwillingness. In the study room, as soon as Nalan Zhengza entered the door, he angrily picked up the teacup on the table and slammed it on the ground. His facial muscles twisted for a while. His eyes seemed to exude the flames that could devour people. He murmured, "Bitch. Bitch. She is really a daughter of a bitch. What an ungrateful daughter. I knew I should have strangled her to death when she was born." Nalan Ziyun, who followed into the room, also had an extremely unsightly face. He clenched his fists and his voice became muffled because of extreme resentment. "Father, you said that King of Hell wants to marry Nalan Heshi. Is it because Nalan Heshi that bitch gave an Lingyue's relic to King of Hell?" Nalan Zhengza was taken aback, then he frowned. "Didn't you say that she has given the relics to Shiyu? What's more, although an Lingyue's relics are precious, King of Hell may not even bat an eye on them." Nalan Ziyun's eyes dimmed and said coldly, "That may not be true, father. Have you seen an Lingyue's relics? In case there are great cultivation secret book or pill prescriptions, it can help King of Hell to break through the divine stage. Father, if you are King of Hell, wouldn't you be tempted? As for Shiyu, he is just a low-rank martial artist of the Foundation establishment stage. Maybe Nalan Heshi abandons him after she got the favor of King of Hell." Nalan Zhengza thought and felt that his son's words made sense. Otherwise, he really couldn't figure out why the great genius King of Hell, who was admired by countless women, would choose to marry Nalan Heshi, a woman who had no talent and no appearance. Nalan Ziyun slammed the table angrily and said, "Now that this woman has looked for King of Hell as a backer, we can't do anything to her. Is it that we can only let an Lingyue's relic be possessed by this bitch? Impossible." Nalan Zhengza yelled coldly. His eyes slowly glanced to a corner of the study room, and a sullen smile appeared on his mouth. "Nalan Heshi can't escape from my palm. So what if she marries King of Hell? By the time, she will still kneel down in front of me and beg me. Hee, the things that belong to our Nalan family will definitely fall into my hands." Nalan Ziyun was startled. A hint of suspicion appeared on his face. Even if Nalan Heshi is given a chronic poison, with the method of King of Hell, he may find a way to detoxify it. This may not necessarily be a means to threaten that damn little girl. Please go to https://www.read light novel. cc/the King of Hell is genius pampered wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. We have just achieved Patreon community goal 1, so here's 2 extra chapters for the week. Thanks for supporting us. But Nalan Zhengza's expression was too determined, making him realize that Nalan Zhengza must still hold a bigger trump card. This trump card would be very amazing. At the same time, in Nalan Feishue's room. Nalan Feishue, who had been in a coma, finally woke up slowly. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw her sister, Nalan Yurong, and mother, Mrs. Nalan sitting aside. Nalan Yurong's face was pale. Her expression was haggard, but her eyes were surprisingly bright. There was a fierce hatred inside. Mrs. Nalan pressed her forehead with a towel as she was sobbing. She muttered continuously, "My poor daughter, my poor children." Nalan Feishue's memory slowly rolled back. What she saw was the lewd smile of the fat pig, Zhu Zhongba, before she fainted. She screamed abruptly. She jumped up from the bed and shouted loudly, "I don't want to marry that fat pig, I will never marry that fat pig. Mother, elder sister, you must save me, please save me." Oh, when Mrs. Naylan heard her daughter's cry, she couldn't help it anymore. Her low sob had become a wail. My poor Feishue, it was all caused by that bitch. How could the master be so cruel? You're his own daughter, how could he marry you to that kind of person? In the room, Naylan Feishue and Mrs. Naylan cried one after another. It was full of despair, sadness, resentment and unwillingness. Stop crying. Suddenly, a cold and clear voice interrupted their crying. Naylan Yurong, who had been sitting silent for a while, suddenly looked at the two of them and said coldly, "What's the use of crying? Are you willing to be humiliated and manipulated by that bitch, Naylan Heshi? Feishue, do you really want to marry that fat pig of the Zhu family?" No. 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 I don't want to. Naylan Feishue shook her head frantically, and threw herself at Naylan Yurong's side. She said anxiously, "Elder sister, you have a way, right? You have a way to deal with that bitch, Naylan Heshi? You have a way to not let me marry that fat pig?" Naylan Yurong looked down at her sister's tear-stained face, then the corners of her mouth slowly curled up. "Well, if you really don't want to marry that fat pig, just follow my instructions. I promise, as long as you do what I told you to do. Not only can I save you from marrying Zhu Zhongba, but I can also make you become the wife of the crown prince as you wish." After hearing this, Naylan Feishue was overjoyed. She grabbed Naylan Yurong's hand, and repeatedly in a low tone, "I do. I do. Sister, as long as I don't need to marry that fat pig, I will do whatever it takes." Naylan Yurong smiled with satisfaction. She lowered her head slowly and uttered a long series of whispers in her sister's ear. Naylan Feishue's expression changed from the original shock and panic to overjoyed, then she finally laughed and said, "Elder sister, you are the best. Don't worry, I will get the things done." After speaking, she quickly changed her clothes and rushed out of the room. Naylan Yurong sat on the spot, looking at the back of her sister leaving, and a ruthless expression appeared on her face. "Naylan Heshi, you want to fight with me for King of Hell? I want to see if you can have this life. When King of Hell knows that you are being violated, would he still love you and marry you as his wife?" Ha ha ha, please go to https://www.readlightnovel.cc/ The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. We have just achieved Patreon Community Goal 1, so here's 2 extra chapters for the week. Thanks for supporting us. It was a quiet dark night. It was very quiet in Xinu house where Heshi lived. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past. Several figures quietly sneaked into Xinu house. The guards and manservants who were guarding the entrance of Xinu house were nowhere to be found at this time. These people went straight in and pushed open the door of Heshi's bedroom. "Who is it?" My Xiang quickly got up from the bed, lit the candle in the room, and asked loudly, "Why are you breaking into Miss' room?" "Miss, bah, what kind of miss is she? She's just an illegitimate child that no one cares about." After living in Naylan Mansion for a few days, she really thought she is Naylan family's miss? Naylan Feishue walked in swaggeringly with several guards and 2 sturdy maids behind her. At this time Heshi had already sat up from the bed. She didn't take off her clothes yet, and she didn't look panic at all. After getting up, Qing Wan poured her a cup of tea. Heshi was drinking tea as she slowly said, "May I ask why is second sister bringing a bunch of people into my room?" Naylan Feishue motioned to the maids behind her. The 2 maids immediately stepped forward and took out a set of phoenix crown and chape and placed them in front of Heshi. Naylan Feishue smiled smugly, "Third sister, this is the phoenix crown chape Zhu family specially prepared for you. You should try it if it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit, second sister will immediately ask the embroider to change it for you." Heshi raised her eyebrows and sneered, "Second sister, are you crazy? I remember that the person that Zhu family's young master is going to marry is you. These clothes should be given to you by the Zhu family, right? What does it have to do with me? If it weren't for you bitch, I would have married to the crown prince. Why would I have to marry that fat pig, Zhu Zhongba?" Nalan Feishua couldn't help but let out a sharp yell. It was particularly harsh on this dark night. But the strange thing was that no one in the Nalan mansion was alarmed by such a loud noise. The guards who were originally patrolling outside the Xianu house were gone. Nalan Feishua took a deep breath, and she forced a smile. Third sister, I advise you to wear this wedding gown obediently. You must take one step at a time. Don't reach for the things that are beyond your level. What is the status of King of Hell, what character is he, and what kind of person are you, third sister? Do you think that with your beauty, you can really get the favor of King of Hell? Stop dreaming. Let me tell you the truth. You better not take things too seriously today. King of Hell did this today, just because he had arguments with elder sister, so he proposed to you to irritate elder sister. You are just a tool that King of Hell picked up casually. As long as elder sister flatters King of Hell, they will be together, and you will be dumped like a rubbish. Do you know how miserable you are? As Nalan Feishua said, she giggled as if she really saw Nalan Hashi's miserable future. She stretched out her slender finger and pointed at the wedding gown beside her as if she was doing a charity. She said with a chuckle, so, second sister advises you that you should cherish the opportunity to marry to the Zhu family. With third sister's appearance and talent, you are just barely matching up the Zhu Zhongba. Please go to https://www.Riyadh Light Novel. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. In the future, third sister will become the madam of the Zhu family. You must thank second sister for this opportunity today. Hashi took a sip of tea slowly. There wasn't any panic on her face. Instead, she said with a half smile, even if there is no King of Hell, there is still a crown prince. Why should second sister be so worried? Third sister will never fight for your opportunity to marry into the Zhu family. Bitch. You shameless bitch. I knew it was you who seduced brother prince. Upon hearing Heshi mention the crown prince, Nalan Feishua finally couldn't hold her anger. She pounced toward Heshi fiercely, you shameless bitch, do you think that you are worthy of brother prince? I tell you that tomorrow you must marry even if you don't want to. If you are sensible, you better wear the wedding dress and go to the sedan chair tomorrow. Otherwise, don't blame me for using force. Heshi's wrist holding the teacup shook lightly. A purple vine soared into the air. She looked at Nalan Feishua who was pouncing at her, and she said leisurely, oh, you're welcome. Why are you going to be courteous to me? When Nalan Feishua saw the purple vine, the pain left on her body seemed to be triggered. Her body shrank instinctively, then she backed up a few steps before saying in a tremble, what do you want to do? Heshi gently stroked the leaves on purple abyss vine, and she felt the intimacy of purple abyss vine for her. She then sneered, second sister, it should be me asking this, right? Didn't you just pounce on me? If I don't fight back, should I just let second sister beat me? Or second elder sister thinks that I'm still the Nalan Heshi who would let you bully? The girl in front of her smiled clearly, but the cold phoenix eyes projected an icy chill. Nalan Feishua became stiff, then she burst into anger, you wait. Nalan Heshi, do you think I really can't deal with you? As she said, she clapped and sneered, bring the person in up. Soon, a man who was tied up being carried forward. He Xiang and Chui Lu, who were also awakened, yelled, young master, when they saw the person being carried up. It turned out that the person who was tied up was Nalan Ziyun. He had messy hair, a haggard face, bloodstains on the corners of his mouth, and scars on his neck. He looked withered. When he saw Heshi, his eyes lit up and he whispered, sister, help me. He Xiang and Chui Lu looked at Nalan Ziyun anxiously. They said in a sobbing tone, young master, why are you being tied up? Young master, sorry to let you suffer. Nalan Feishua smiled smugly, and she looked at Heshi and said, Nalan Heshi, have you seen it? This is your younger brother, Nalan Ziyun. If you marry Zhu Zhongba as I said, I will kill your younger brother. What do you think about it? No. He Xiang and Chue Lu cried and rushed toward Heshi. Miss, you have to save young master. Young master is so good to you, he has been taking care of you since you moved into Nalan Mansion. You will definitely save him, right? Heshi looked at Nalan Ziyun. Nalan Ziyun immediately said in a grieved, Sister, save me. Nalan Feishua is a lunatic, she will really kill me. Heshi raised her eyebrows and said, Kill you? You're Nalan Zheng's beloved son. Can Nalan Feishua still have a place in Nalan Mansion if she kills you? Nalan Feishua's expression froze. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun immediately said, Sister, have you forgotten? Nalan Yurong is Master Shukong's direct disciple, and Nalan Feishua is her sister. Even if she really kills me, father can't put the blame on her. Sister, I'm your real brother. I loved you the most when you were a kid. You must save me, okay? Nalan Feishua heard Nalan Ziyun's words and immediately laughed and said, What now? Nalan Heshi, don't you want to save your brother's life? He Xiang and Chue Lu knelt in front of Heshi, and they kept crying and kowtowing. Third Miss, please save young master, have you forgotten? When Mrs. Nalan was about to beat you, young master desperately stood in front of you. Young master even sent to serve you. Mississippi Miss should remember young master's kindness to you, right? If Miss doesn't save young master, you are really worse than the animal, you're not a human at all. Standing next to Heshi, my Xiang frowned angrily. She wanted to speak, but she was pulled back by Heshi. Heshi looked at Nalan Ziyun and smiled, Oh, dear brother, how do you want me to save you? Nalan Ziyun coughed twice and quickly said, Sister, just listen to Nalan Feishua's words and marry Zhu Zhongba. Otherwise, they will really kill me. Although King of Hell said that he wanted to marry you, you also heard that it was because King of Hell wanted to attract the attention of the elder sister. He doesn't really like you at all. Zhu Zhongba is different. Zhu family's power is similar to our Nalan family. Even if sister marries him, Zhu family will not dare to disrespect you. What's more, Zhu family is even the richest family in Jinling Kingdom. Sister will definitely enjoy endless glory and wealth after marrying. My sister, you should agree to it. Even Heshi's mood was calm as usual, she couldn't refrain herself from laughing when she saw their amusing performance. She shook her head and sighed, You really deserve to be my good brother. You still concern about my happiness at this time. However, I think second sister wants me to marry me just because she doesn't want to marry Zhu Zhongba, right? Without waiting for Nalan Feishua to speak, Heshi had continued, If this is the case, let Nalan Ziyun replace you instead. Anyway, I heard that Zhu Zhongba likes both men and women. Nalan Ziyun is still a young man. In addition to being handsome, everything else is fine except that he can't have children. I believe the Zhu family will be satisfied too. You. Nalan Ziyun's face twisted. He Xiang and Chue Lu were also dumbfounded. They immediately couldn't help crying and yelling at Heshi, Third Miss, how can you say this? Young master is your brother. Is your conscience eaten by dogs? Young master is really wrong to treat you so good. Treat me good? Heshi burst into laughter. She said with disdain, Nalan Ziyun, I kindly remind you that if you really want to express the affection between you and me, can you please make the makeup on your face be more realistic and tie the rope on your body tighter? You all really think Nalan Heshi is a fool who you can simply fool around? The expression on Nalan Ziyun's face became stiff, and his eyes gradually looked gloomy. Nalan Feishua sneered impatiently, I told you that this trick doesn't work, this slut is shameless and selfish, how can he really care about you? Why are we talking so much nonsense? Just take her down. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun's eyes looked gloomy, and his body shook slightly. The rope that was originally restraining him was shaken off. He stood up, looked at Hashi with a gloomy gaze, and slowly said, "Sister, I thought I have treated you wholeheartedly during this period of time. I take care of you meticulously, but I didn't expect you to be so cruel. You just watch me die like that. Your brother is so sad." Hashi shook her head and smiled. "Nalan Ziyun, if you don't have enough IQ, don't treat others as a fool like you. With your crappy acting skills, do you really think I'm a fool who can't see through it? Good. Very good. Since you are so ignorant, don't blame me for ignoring the affection between brother and sister." As soon as Nalan Ziyun said, he turned his wrist, and a white powder spread silently in the room. The sound of thump, thump, came from the room. After just a few seconds, except for Nalan Ziyun and Nalan Hashi, as well as the people they brought, everyone else fell soft to the ground. Including He Xiang and Chue Lu, who just pleaded for Nalan Ziyun. When Mai Xiang fell to the ground, she desperately tried to open her eyes and looked anxiously in Hashi's direction. But in the end, she still couldn't resist the soreness of her body and the blur of consciousness and fell unconscious. Seeing everyone fainted on the ground, even the annoying Nalan Hashi was lying motionless at the foot of the bed. Nalan Feishue suddenly clapped and laughed happily. While smiling, she looked at Nalan Ziyun and said with a chuckle, "You are even more cruel. You can even harm your own sister. This bitch was so arrogant just now, but she still fell into your trap." Nalan Ziyun snorted coldly, "She is just a trash. How can she be worthy of being my sister? She will only ruin my reputation." Nalan Feishue nodded in satisfaction, "You did a good job. I will report to the elder sister later. She will think of a way to let you join the Doctors' Association." Hearing the promise of joining the Doctors' Association, a scorching light appeared in Nalan Ziyun's eyes. He suppressed the excitement in his heart, and bowed his head, "Thank you, second sister, and also thank elder sister for me. I will never forget the kindness of second sister in the future." Nalan Feishue waved her hand, stepped forward to Hashi, kicked Hashi's body twice, and said sinisterly, "If it weren't because it would leave some scars on the bride's body, and the fat pig would be unsatisfied when playing with her, I really couldn't wait to tear off the skin of this bitch." Second sister calms down. "If we simply kill Nalan Hashi like this, wouldn't we make it too easy for her?" Nalan Ziyun also had an evil smile in his eyes. "Second sister, do you have any instructions from the elder sister? What should we do next?" Nalan Feishue nodded immediately and said excitedly, "Let's kill these two eye-catching girls first. Elder sister said that these two maids are not from our Nalan mansion. Who knows, they were given to Hashi by the men she seduced. Leaving them by our side may be harmful for us." Nalan Ziyun remembered that he had been conspired in the courtyard, and a ruthlessness flashed in his eyes. He nodded and laughed, "Elder sister is really thoughtful. As for this bitch..." Nalan Feishue raised her eyebrows. A gleeful gloating smile appeared on her face, "Get her to my room. Elder sister's drug will take 12 hours for her to wake up. When she wakes up, it will be tomorrow late at night. She would probably be spoiled by Zhu Zhongba by the time, ha ha ha." Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hela's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun nodded repeatedly. His face was full of excitement and cheerful expression. As Nalan Feishue was about to ask the maids and manservants behind her to lift the people out, she suddenly felt something was wrong. At the same time, Nalan Ziyun also felt something was wrong. The originally silent room was even more silent now. It was as if there were only the breathing and voice of the remaining two people. However, there should still be the guards and maids I brought in this room. Nalan Feishue thought in surprise and horror, then she turned to look. What appeared before her was Qing Wan's cold and ordinary face, as well as those eyes full of contempt and disgust. Isn't this the maid of Nalan Hashi? Shouldn't she be unconscious? Nalan Feishue only had such a thought in her mind, and she fainted right away. Similarly, Nalan Ziyun also fainted without making a sound. Nalan Ziyun was even thinking that after Nalan Heshi was spoiled by Zhu Zhongba, this bitch would beg him for mercy. By the time, he would join the Doctors' Association and get the relics of Enlingyue. The entire Nalan mansion would belong to him. Even Nalan Zhengze, he couldn't ignore Nalan Ziyun. However, as soon as his thoughts turned, he saw Nalan Heshi's half-smile eyes with pity and disdain like she was looking at ants. It was as if he would step into the abyss in the next moment. After that, he completely lost consciousness. On the second day, the Nalan mansion was decorated with lanterns and streamers, and it was very lively. Because of the hurried preparation, and the Zhu family wanted to marry the pretty wife and let his son go through the consummation, the wedding time was set at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. However, because Zhu Zhongba and Zhu Yichun were anxious, the sedan chair was already in front of the Nalan mansion just after noon. Just in case, Zhu family also hired a lot of experts to help out, and he invited the sixth prince to his house to join the wedding dinner, so as to prevent the Nalan family from going back on their words. But the whole process went smoothly beyond their imagination. Even when the bride was welcomed into the sedan chair, there was no slightest resistance. Zhu Yichun was relieved as he thought that Nalan mansion was afraid of King of Hell, so they didn't dare to make trouble. Zhu Zhongba's pig face was smiling happily. Thinking that he could marry such a tempting pretty wife, he couldn't help drooling. He wished it was night now so he could consummate now. After taking the bride, the groom's procession team of the Zhu family left in a huge commotion. The sound of gongs and drums resounded throughout the street, attracting countless onlookers. Mrs. Nalan and Nalan Yurong saw the sedan chair leaving, and a cheerful smile appeared on her face. Nalan Yurong whispered, "Have you confirmed with Fei Xue that there is nothing wrong with the whole thing, right?" Yurong, rest assured, this is related to Fei Xue's lifelong event. How could she not do it with all her heart? Mrs. Nalan smiled lightly. She was looking at her eldest daughter with full of pride. Fei Xue did it according to your instructions. After the consummation in the bridal chamber tonight is over, even if Zhu Zhongba didn't consummate with Nalan Heshi, they still worshipped heaven and earth after all. Even if she wanted to renege it would almost be impossible. When the time comes, we will spread the news, saying that Nalan Heshi didn't hesitate to knock Fei Xue out in order to marry Zhu Zhongba. She even pretended to be Fei Xue to go into the sedan chair. Ha ha ha. By the time, Nalan Heshi's reputation will be ruined completely. How would King of Hell still want her? Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Upon hearing this, Nalan Yurong's cold face finally burst into a smile. She squinted her eyes and said, "Mother, it is not good for you to spread these words. Let Nalan Ziyun spread it. He is the younger brother of Nalan Heshi. Whatever comes out of his mouth, I believe more people will trust him." "Yes. Yes." Mrs. Nalan replied repeatedly. She said excitedly, "Yurong, you are really thoughtful. Nalan Ziyun is also an illegitimate child who can't be present at the proper event. If he wants you to help him joining the Doctors' Association, he should at least do something right." Nalan Yurong nodded, turned, and walked toward her room. As she walked, the handsome face of King of Hell, Nan Gongyu, appeared in her mind, and there was also the tender and gentle gaze when he looked at Heshi. The hand hanging on her side suddenly clenched, and her nails were deeply embedded in her palm. "Nalan Heshi, you will soon be ruined and become a woman who is violated. Let's see how you want to seduce my King of Hell by then." The bride was picked up by the Zhu family long ago, but the banquet at Nalan Mansion did not end. In the front yard, there were guests who were toasting each other to congratulate the marriage between the Nalan family and the Zhu family. However, these guests said congratulations, but they were full of doubts. In Yanjing City, who didn't know the virtues of the Zhu family's unique son? Not to mention that he was fat, he didn't have any cultivation as well. He would most likely stay in the foundation establishment stage for the rest of his life. What about Nayland Feishue? She was already at the foundation establishment stage at a young age. Coupled with her beautiful appearance and good family background, what kind of man she couldn't marry? She actually married herself to that pig, Zhu Zhongba. The strangest thing was that this was obviously not a good marriage, but Mrs. Nayland entertained the guests with a smile. There wasn't any sadness of throwing her daughter into the fire pit. Nayland Zhengza always had a serious look, but it could be seen that his mood wasn't so bad from his occasionally lifted lips. Although the guests were full of curiosity and doubts, they were still sensible people. Of course, they wouldn't purposely ask for trouble themselves. Therefore, the hurriedly prepared wedding banquet between the Nayland mansion and the Zhu family turned out to be very lively. In the entire Nayland mansion, only one place had been quiet since yesterday. That was Xianyu house. Although the owner of this house did not ask for food today, did not come out to attend the wedding banquet, and there was not even a slight noise in the yard, no one in the Nayland mansion felt strange. No one even came here to look for the owner of the yard. However, in the bedroom of Xianyu house at this time, there was a figure lying on the bed. The breathing was light and shallow. She obviously didn't move, but the white gauze dress she was wearing suddenly turned into a black tight shirt. The beautiful figure showed exquisite lines under the tightly wrapped black outfit. When Heshi was putting on her clothes, she felt a wave of fluctuations in the space. Someone approached her sleeping body. Heshi smiled slightly, and her mind went back to her physical body. She quickly sat up from the bed. Who knows, as soon as she sat up, she ran into a strong embrace. Nangong Yu's low and smiling voice sounded above her head, "My little girl is so enthusiastic. She immediately throws herself into me when she sees me. Get up." Heshi pushed him away, laughing and cursing, "Stop talking nonsense." Nangong Yu didn't let go. He bent down to hug her horizontally. Please go to https://www.readlightnovel. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Heshi's height was actually not too short, otherwise there was no way to pretend to be the teenager miracle healer, Shiyu. But at this time, she was like a petty doll in Nangong Yu's arms. She was almost entirely embraced by Nangong Yu's arms. Heshi's face blushed. She struggled and said, "We are going to do serious matter today, you let me down quickly." Nangong Yu has a serious face. For me, getting in touch with my princess and cultivating feelings is the most important thing. Heshi, I really want to slap him. Seeing Heshi getting angry, Nangong Yu finally kissed her on her cheek and put her down. Just as soon as he put her down, he saw the girl's appearance under the moonlight outside the window, and his face looked serious immediately. Tonight, Heshi did not wear a human skin mask, revealing her original exquisite and beautiful face. Although she still wore a man's hair bun, she couldn't hide her stunning appearance at all. Heshi was wearing an ordinary black costume that tightly wrapped her body. The tight costume highlighted her slender body shape. Obviously she was just a young girl, but she was already so tempting, so enchanting. If she grows a little bit, what kind of unparalleled beauty she would become. Nangong Yu stared straight at Heshi, and he didn't even hear Heshi speaking to him. After a long time, he breathed out abruptly, hugged the person into his arms, and muttered, "In the future, you are not allowed to dress like this in front of other men." Heshi was startled at first, she didn't understand what he meant. When she reacted, she was dumbfounded. "King of Hell, you know that I'm either an ugly person in front of other people, or I dress up as a man. Do you think everyone has the same habit of liking man like you?" Heshi hadn't called Nangong Yu as King of Hell for a long time. When she called last time, it was alienation and resistance, but now it had become flirtatious. Nangong Yu was very satisfied with it. He laughed and said beside her ear, "Sheer, what you said is right. For you, I'm willing to be rumored as liking man. Sheer, you must be responsible for it." Heshi was amused by him. She looked up at his handsome face, and her eyes were flickering. She said, "You came so hurriedly, I don't have enough time to disguise my face and wear a corset. You wait for a while. We will set off after I'm done with it." She would never admit that she wanted Nan Gongyu to see her beautiful side. Especially after experiencing yesterday's incident, Nalan Yurong said that she was an ugly monster, shriveled daylily, and something else in front of Nan Gongyu. She knew for the first time that she would care about this too. She cared about how she looked like in front of the person she loved. Nan Gongyu didn't think so much about the nonsense that an irrelevant woman like Nalan Yurong said, he didn't even hear a word of her. "Forget it, you don't have to disguise your face anymore." Nan Gongyu hugged He without letting go, and he chuckled, "Anyway, only the two of us will act together tonight. Only I can see the true face of Sheer." He held up the girl's tender cheeks, lowered his head, and gently kissed the soft lips. "All this belongs to me, me alone." In short, when the two of them were ready to intrude into the Nalanjing's study room, it was already half an hour later. Please go to https://www.readlightnovel.cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. As for what exactly was going to be done for half an hour, only King of Hell, who smiled like he successfully cheated a girl, knew about it. At this time, Nalan Mansion was at the most lively timing on the banquet, so Nalan Jingze was in the front hall. However, Nalan Jingze did not relax in the guard of the study room. Even more than usual, there seemed to be twice as many guards patrolling around the study room. However, the guards of the mere Nalan Mansion were of course a piece of cake for He and Nan Gongyu. After a while, these guards all fainted to the ground, sleeping like dead pigs. He took out the silver needle, poked the heads of these guards a few times, and asked Nan Gongyu to help them up and maintain a standing posture. After another incense stick time, they will wake up, but they won't remember what happened. He retracted the silver needle and chuckled lightly, so even if someone comes to this study room halfway, they won't find anything unusual. Someone of the immortal realm knew such methods of controlling human memory and perception temporarily, but they couldn't do it as easy as He. The girl in front of her, in the field of medical skills, seemed to have reached the top. Nothing really seemed difficult for her. Nan Gongyu lowered his eyebrows, concealing the pampering and hot desire in his eyes. A gentle smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. Such a Sheer, if she shines brightly one day, she will definitely become the existence that many people covet and desire, right? However, even if those people covet it, it's useless, because I will definitely guard He by my side. After dealing with the guards, the two quickly entered the study room. As soon as He entered the room, Nan Gongyu's gaze fell on one of the corners of the study room. Seeing Nan Gongyu walking in that direction, He immediately grabbed his hand. "This array is very weird. As long as anything gets closer, it seems that Nalan Jingze will feel it. Even if it's something without spiritual fluctuation, it is no exception." Nan Gongyu smiled slightly. He held He's soft little hand and pulled her forward. Just as he was about to approach the range of the array, Nan Gongyu paused and formed a unique symbol in his hand. Then, a pure black spiritual power spread from his fingertips to the every corner of the room. As the pure black spiritual power permeated, the vague feeling of something watching over them disappeared instantly. The array in front of them was still strange, but Sheer had a feeling that no matter what they did, Nalan Jingze would no longer sense it. She looked at the black spiritual power that had dissipated in the air, and she couldn't help but widen her mouth, exclaiming, "Dark spiritual power?" Nan Gongyu scratched the tip of his nose and smiled braggingly. "Now that you find your man is amazing." He's mouth opened for a long time, and she didn't even react to refute Nan Gongyu's flirt. Because the dark spiritual power was really amazing. He remembered that there were many powerful forces in nature: wind, rain, thunder, ice, frost, and frost. But all in all, these forces were derived from the 5 original elements: gold, wood, water, fire and earth. Therefore, the most powerful thing between heaven and earth was the power of the 5 elements. The purer the spiritual power of the 5 elements, the stronger it was. Please go to https://www.read light novel. cc/ the king of hell is genius pampered wife / to read the latest chapters for free. However, there was also a kind of ability that was completely independent of the 5 elements, and that was dark spiritual power. Dark spiritual power, if it was cultivated to a certain extent, could absorb and transform other spiritual power for its own use. Even in close combat, other spiritual power would be restrained by dark spiritual power and couldn't be used. It was not an exaggeration to say that dark spiritual power was the nemesis of all other spiritual powers. I didn't expect Nan Gongyu to possess the unique dark spiritual power in the Miluo continent. Nan Gongyu looked at her who was dumbfounded, and the smile in his eyes was even greater. He showed a pampering look. Silly girl, your abilities are so special, so rare, and there are so many people coveting my baby. If your man isn't strong enough, how can I protect you? Heshi's face blushed, and she finally recovered. She coughed and turned her eyes aside. I see this array is quite strange. Can you really breach the array? Having said that, suspiciousness appeared on his face again. If I remember correctly, Nan Gongyu should be in his early 20s. He has reached the nascent soul stage at a young age. No, maybe higher than the nascent soul stage. He also established the Iron Kirin and trained Xing Long, Wu Xing, and other subordinates. Then, he still has time to learn about arrays? What is in this man's head? Is he giving a chance for ordinary people to live? However, Heshi had never thought that her own cultivation had progressed from a mortal without spiritual power to the peak of Meridian stage in just a few months. That was even more impossible for ordinary people. Nan Gongyu laughed and walked slowly into the array. His steps after entering the array were strange, as if he was stepping on the direction of the 5 elements and 8 trigrams. Every few steps he took, he would condense the spiritual power, ordinary spiritual power, on the array I. When the array I was in contact with Nan Gongyu's spiritual power, it would emit a faint light. The entire array would fluctuate, even the air in the study room seemed to be distorted. After about the time for an incense, Nan Gongyu took the last step and flicked his slender fingers. Heshi only heard a ding sound, and the array that had made her feel threatened instantly disappeared. As the array disappeared, Nan Gongyu flickered to a mahogany shelf, grabbed an inconspicuous vase on it, and turned it left and right. Soon, a mechanical sound rang in the room. The originally tightly fitted mahogany shelf slowly separated to the 2 sides, revealing a bottomless passage. Nan Gongyu and Heshi glanced at each other, and they flashed into the passage without hesitation. And as the 2 disappeared, the mahogany shelf moved slowly and closed tightly. Even the array that had been destroyed had been restored to its original state. Heshi looked around and found that he was in a dark passageway, but crystal stones for lighting were hung on the walls on both sides, so she could vaguely see the road ahead. She remembered Nan Gongyu's actions just now, and couldn't help but exclaimed, "That array is breached just like this?" She and Little Golden Dragon were now considered to have the strength of the Gold Core stage, but facing this array, they always feel that there was a kind of inexplicable fear. Heshi knew a little bit about the simple array, which he learned from Old Man Sumi's record of everything. But it was just the entry level. But this entry level made her realize the wonder and power of the array. Martial artists, who were not high in cultivation and didn't have powerful strength, could exert the strength that was 100 times stronger than themselves after mastering array. Please go to https://www.read light novel. cc/ the king of hell is genius pampered wife / to read the latest chapters for free. The sect, with Mountain Guard array and without Mountain Guard array, the difference in power was a world apart. Of course, the precious materials and crystal stones that were required to arrange and maintain a complex array were unimaginable. Nan Gongyu nodded and said, This array should have evolved from an ancient array. Many complicated arrays are removed from it. Relatively speaking, it is not difficult to crack. At best, it can only be regarded as a 5th-grade array. If the original array here is now, it won't be so easy for me to crack it. Heshi's eyes looked yearning for it. She couldn't help but said, "Array is really wonderful, I also want to learn." Nangongyu rubbed her head and smiled, pampering, "Okay, I will teach you." The two followed the passage all the way and soon came to a place similar to a pill refining room. The most conspicuous thing in this room was not the pill furnace and the table, but the portrait hanging behind the table. The woman in the portrait had a cold expression, but her face and eyes were beautiful. She was Nalan Heshi's biological mother, Enlingyue. Nangongyu saw the portrait of Enlingyue, and his face showed a clear look of surprise. After that, he stared at the portrait blankly. He was in a daze for a long while, he couldn't even hear Heshi calling him. Heshi was a little unhappy inexplicably, and she leaned close to Nangongyu's ear and said quietly, "Why? Isn't she beautiful?" Nangongyu suddenly recovered, and he immediately reflexively said, "She is the most beautiful in my heart." "Cut it." Heshi snorted coldly, "I saw you were in a daze looking at it. You just almost didn't drool. You still say that she is not pretty." Nangongyu looked at the little girl in front of him staring at him with her nose wrinkled, and he couldn't help laughing. He hugged the little girl in his arms, pinched her nose, and smiled very happily and sweetly, "Sheer, you are so cute. You can even be jealous of a portrait, but how you look like when you are jealous." Seeing Heshi getting angry, he quickly said, "Don't worry, except Sheer, other women look the same to me. Even if they stand naked in front of me, I won't be moved." Heshi wanted to sullenly refute his, "Who is jealous," but she couldn't help smiling. Nangongyu felt that she was more beautiful the more he looked at her. He lowered his head and kissed her lips, then he continued, "Sheer, this woman is a bit familiar to me, as if I have seen her before." It seems I saw her a long time ago." Heshi said, "Don't think about it, she is Nalan Heshi's mother Enlingyue, and you have seen her portrait in 100 Herb Mist, so it's normal to look familiar." Nangongyu shook his head and said, "The portrait of Enlingyue in 100 Herb Mist has gentler eyebrows. At that time, I just thought she was like you, so I didn't think much about it. But now I see this painting, but I always feel a little familiar. Where did I seen it? Don't think about it. There are similar people and similar things. Maybe you saw it wrong." Nangongyu nodded thoughtfully, "Maybe." The two wandered around the room for a while, and they soon found another secret passage leading to the deeper underground. Heshi had a hunch that the things hid in this secret path was the real secret of Nalanjingza. The two concealed their traces and walked quickly into the secret passage. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. The strange thing was that this secret road was completely dark, and there were some strange noises from time to time from the deep underground. There also seemed to be a muffled roar. If one walks here alone, he would really feel creepy. Nangongyu took out the lighting crystal stone and took Heshi's hand step by step down. The closer to the depths of the secret road, the more obvious the noise was. There was a disgusting rancid smell. After walking for a long time in such a place, their vision finally became clear. Heshi was about to pick up the crystal stone to illuminate the surrounding environment, then and suddenly felt a breath quickly approaching her body. Purple abyss vine flew out immediately, tangling toward the object that was close to her. And Nangongyu moved faster than her. He launched the natural silk to entangle the figure who was coming. He stretched out his hand and hugged Heshi into his arms. The flying sword in his hand was cast out, stabbing toward the figure that wanted to attack Heshi. "Wait!" Heshi quickly stopped Nangongyu's action. From the information reported by Purple Abyss Vine, the breath that just attacked her seems to be a person. There was no killing intent on this person, and he didn't have the power to threaten her. He took out more lighting crystal stones to illuminate the place in front of her. However, when she saw the sight in front of her clearly, she took a deep breath. This was a cave that was only a dozen square meters in size. There was a disgusting rancid smell in the cave. Because there was a wooden barrel in the corner of the cave, and the wooden barrel was filled with excrement. The ground of the cave was not clean. There were mud, blood, and food. The food had been rotten for many days. It emitted a disgusting smell and attracted many insects. And what shocked He the most was the person who attacked her just now. Looking at the size and bones, this should be a young boy. It was just that this young man was naked. He crouched on the ground like an animal with 4 limbs on the ground. His body was covered with mud, leftovers from food, and even smelly excrement. A few small bugs crawled up and down on his naked body, gnawing at his flesh, but he didn't notice it. An iron helmet was put on the boy's face, completely covering his face. Only 2 eyes were exposed. Those eyes were staring straight at her at this moment, exuding a purple light. That's right, they were a pair of completely purple eyes which were almost exactly the same as the purple that appeared in her eyes when she was emotional. However, such a pair of phoenix eyes that were extremely similar to her eyes showed a dull and ignorant expression. He was like a domesticated beast that was well-behaved, obedient, and wouldn't resist. However, he was like a walking corpse without self-consciousness. Looking at those purple's eyes, He's heart twitched slightly. This person gave her an inexplicably depressing heartache. She stepped forward and slowly approached the boy. Seeing her coming, the young man seemed to be frightened, desperately trying to retreat. However, purple abyss vine and natural silk were wrapped around him, so he couldn't move at all. So there was a bit of fear in those purple eyes. As she waved her hand to call back purple abyss vine, Nangongyu also took back the natural silk in time. Once the boy was free, he quickly fled back to the corner with his hands and feet on the ground. While running, he made a jangling. Only then did He discover that there were chains around his neck and limbs. The thin chains strangled his neck and limbs, tearing off his flesh. Old and new scars of varying thickness were all over his body. It looked horrifying. He clenched her hands abruptly. Her nails deeply pierced into her palms. She didn't know what kind of emotion was surging in her heart. Regarding Nalan family and Nalan Zhengze, He had always maintained an indifferent attitude. Apart from Nalan Feishua and Nalan Ziyun, the culprits who hurt Nalan He, she did not have the intention to retaliate against others. But now, seeing this young man who was tortured in the underground by Nalan Zhengze, she felt a strong killing intent in her heart. Who is this boy? He walked slowly toward the young man lying on the ground, trying to restrain her aura as much as possible. The young boy's purple eyes stared at her while blinking. There was confusion in his eyes due to longing, there was fear due to yearning, but his trembling body kept retreating. Just when He was about to approach the young boy, Nangongyu suddenly frowned. He quickly appeared next to He, and took her into his arms, making a gesture to hint that someone was coming. He's heart was stunned. She quickly kept all the lighting crystal stones into her arms. She and Nangongyu jumped to a corner of the cave and hid their body. Losing the brief light and He's figure, the boy lying on the ground became excited. The chain that restrained his neck trembled violently, making a ringing sound. There was also a low and dull sound, like the cry of a dying beast. He finally knew why the voice she heard above was so dull, because the boy's face was covered by an iron cover. Hearing the desperate and sorrowful roar of the young man, it seemed as if he was calling. He's body trembled for a while, and she almost couldn't help jumping down and telling the boy that she was still here. Nangongyu quickly hugged her in her arms and whispered in her ear, "Sheer, don't worry, I'm here." The man's low voice sounded in her ears. The clear breath filled the tip of his nose as if to say over and over again, "No matter what you want to do, I will accompany you until it is over." The original fierce heartbeat slowly subsided, as she stretched out her arm to embrace Nangongyu, took a deep breath, and condensed all her aura. At almost the same time, there was a slight sound of footsteps in the secret passage. Immediately afterward, the light in the small cave lit up, and Naelanjung's suspicious face was soon reflected. Naelanjung himself couldn't tell why, he always felt uneasy at the dinner tonight. Logically, I know about Naelan Yurong's plan. I also let someone monitor it by the side to ensure that nothing went wrong. Naelan Heshi was married into the Zhu family instead of Naelan Feishue. After her chastity is ruined by Zhu Zhongba, so what if King of Hell still wants to marry her again? Would he really want a woman who was ruined by the other? In this way, Naelan Heshi still can't escape from my hands, and Enlingyue's relic will sooner or later belong to me. After thinking about all the plans should be flawless. But at today's wedding banquet, he always felt like sitting on pins and needles as if something bad was happening. Naelanjung quickly thought of his study room and the great secret hidden under the study room. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. No one should be able to go into my study room, and it is even more unlikely that someone can breach the array without notifying me. But, what if someone really gets in? Naelanjung frowned. He was cautious by nature, and he always followed the principle of killing someone by mistake rather than letting someone go. Therefore, he found an excuse to leave during the banquet and hurriedly came to the study room. Naelanjung breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the security guards patrolling outside the study room and heard them reported that there was nothing unusual. When he entered the study room, he found that the array was still intact. He was a little amused that he was too cautious. But since Naelanjung was here, he decided to check it out so he could rest assured. A dark red light lit up in the cave. This was the fire attribute crystal stone used for lighting. The red light illuminated every corner of the small cave, and it finally shined on the young man restrained by the chains in the corner of the cave. The corner of Naelanjung's mouth conjured up a satisfied smile. I was indeed worrying about the impossible thing. Who would have thought that there is such a big secret hidden in my study room? Who could come in here without notifying me? After the young man saw him, he shrank violently, then he curled his whole body into a corner in a wailing voice. He was shaking slightly. Thinking of the figures he had just seen, the young man suddenly forgot his fear. He couldn't help struggling vigorously again, pulling the chains desperately and trying to rush out. The chains tightened his skin and flesh, causing his hands, feet, and neck that were worn out to bleed a little. Naelanjung condescendingly looked at the noisy young man, and said with disgust, "What is the fuss? Haven't you suffered enough?" As he said, there was a whip in his hand, and he whipped it at the young man. The whip hit the young man, leaving a few more bloodstains on his already scarred body. Feeling the pain, the young man screamed. His whole body curled up, shivering and letting out a low whine. Then Naelanjung retracted the whip with satisfaction. He took out a plate and placed it on the ground. There was a cluster of green substance that emitted a sour smell on the plate. Naelanjung sneered, "Eat. After eating enough, you can only supply me with enough blood." "Ha, my well-known detoxification pill in the Miluo continent, Juku Lingshan pill still has to rely on you to provide me with the main medicine." Heshi and Nangong Yu looked at each other in the hidden dark place on the top of the cave, and both eyes showed a shocking expression. The young man in the corner curled himself up into a ball. He was still whining as if he could not hear Naelanjung's voice. Naelanjung frowned. The whip in his hand whipped the ground fiercely, then he said sternly shouted, "Little beast, I ask you to eat it, you hear me?" The sound of the whip on the ground made the boy tremble violently. The next moment, the body rushed over like instinct, lying on the ground, sticking out his tongue to lick the sour food on the plate. In the dark hole, the young man put his hands on the ground, he kneeled down and buried his entire face in the food bowl. When he was eating, the smelly food covered his face, but he didn't seem to notice it. He ate very quickly. In just a few moments, the food on that plate was finished up. However, the boy's eating movement did not look like a human at all, but like a well-trained animal. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Jungza looked at him licking the food residue on his hand, and he couldn't help showing a happy smile. He muttered crazily, "And Lingyue, have you seen it? Have you seen how your children end up? Ha ha ha, look at what kind of monsters you gave birth to. One is a waste without spiritual root, and the other is a natural medicine man. One was abandoned by me in the countryside without enough foods and clothes. Even a servant can bully her. Now that she married to the fat pig, Zhu Zhongba, she is destined to end up miserably. The other one can only be imprisoned by me in this cave like a dog for a lifetime without a name and identity. He can only provide me the main medicine of the Juku Lingshan pill. And Lingyue, do you regret seeing the end of your two children in hell?" As Nalan Jungza said, his face was distorted. His eyes were full of resentment and jealousy. "If you were willing to obey me and become my true concubine and woman, I would naturally treat your children better. It's all your fault, because you bitch looked down on me. You didn't even let me touch you, and you even dared to think of leaving with your children. Hee. What was the results? This is the results. Do you think that if you secretly seal the secret book and pill prescription in your daughter's body, I won't get anything? But you didn't expect that your son's blood has miraculous effects. Just by digging out the blood and flesh from him, our Nalan family became famous, and I also became the first physician of Jinling Kingdom." The cruelty in Nalan Jungza's eyes flashed away. He stared fiercely on the young boy in the corner, "And Lingyue, even if you die, I will never let your children end up well. This is the results of you looking down on me." With that said, Nalan Jungza raised the whip and struck the boy several times before he seemed the anger in his heart and turned and left the secret room. Nalan family's dinner is not over yet, he still has to attend as the host. Before Nalan Jungza was completely gone, Hashi jumped down from the sky and landed in front of the young boy. The young boy was shocked by her appearance. His eyes filled with panic and fear. But when he saw her face clearly, the purple eyes couldn't help but show the excitement of eagerness to approach. Hashi closed his eyes, endured the brutality and tyranny of wanting to kill someone, and slowly approached the young boy. There was a whining sound from the young boy's mouth. His hands on the ground as if he was ready to make a move, and as if he was panicking. Nangong Yu caught up from behind Hashi, took out the flying sword, and swiftly cut the chains on the young boy's hands. Although these chains were forged by dark steels, Nangong Yu held the imitation version of sealed dragon sword in his hand, so it could easily cut them off. After the chains was cut off, the young boy was stunned on the spot. He didn't seem to think that he could be free at all. He raised his hands without chains, and there was a confused emotion in his eyes. Nangong Yu approached and checked the helmet on the boy's head, and he shook his head at Hashi. "The structure of this helmet is a bit complicated. If I break it open with a sword, the impact of the sword energy may hurt him." As soon as Nangong Yu approached, the young boy quickly backed away. There was a whining sound in his mouth, and his eyes were full of horror and alert, but the feeling Nangong Yu gave him was too strong, making him dare not do anything except shrinking himself into a ball. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Hashi took a deep breath, walked slowly to the boy's side, and slowly squatted down in front of him. The two similar pairs of phoenix eyes looked at each other, and the purple lights were flickering. Hashi whispered in a soft tone like she never did it before, "Good boy, sit still and let me see, okay?" The boy tilted his head and made an inexplicable sound from his throat. Then, like a well-behaved shepherd dog, he squatted with his legs and hands on his chest. His instinctive reaction made Hashi's heart soar. Even though he was only Nalan Hashi's younger brother, seeing his situation, Hashi actually felt distressed. She didn't hesitate any more and checked the structure of the helmet. With just one look, Heshi's eyes surged with killing intent. Nalan Zhengze is really sinister and vicious enough. The helmet on his head has a fine needle connected to his brain nerve. If the helmet is removed forcibly, the needle will pierce the boy's Baihui acupoint, causing him to bleed and die instantly. Even if I'm a miracle healer, I may not be able to save him in time. Moreover, fortunately, when Nalan Zhengze was here just now, Nangong Yu stopped me from acting rashly. Because there is a secret array in this helmet, the control JS probably in the hands of Nalan Zhengze. As soon as there is a sudden change, Nalan Zhengze is likely to activate the array and let the young boy die together with him. Hee, what a vicious Dr. Nalan. Heshi didn't dislike the dirty smell of the boy at all. She patted him on the shoulder lightly, and then took out a silver needle. The silver needle quickly pierced into the helmet several times. After a while, the helmet made a clicking sound. The needle was ejected upward, and it pierced the top of the cave. The helmet that was originally covered on the young boy's head split in half and fell to the ground. Nangong Yu took the illuminated crystal stone and let the light shine on the young boy's face. It was a pale face without a trace of blood. Due to the squeezing of the helmet, this face looked extremely thin, but it could not conceal the outstanding facial features and delicate features of the young boy. Although this face was not so handsome that it would make everyone in the country move, it was 50% similar to Heshi's appearance as a man. Nangong Yu didn't even have to guess. This should be Nalan Heshi's real brother. Heshi stared at the young boy in front of him blankly. The young man seemed to be a little uncomfortable with the heavy object on his face being removed. His dirty hands kept scratching his own face. There was a whining sound in his mouth, which sounded like a little puppy. Heshi reached out and pressed his hand, and said hoarsely, "Don't move." She condensed pure water's spiritual power in her palm. It slowly cleansed the mud and food waste on the young man's hand. The clean hand looked as pale as his face, thin and skinny. What was more frightening was that on these hands, there were all fine and dense scars. Some have not even healed, and they had become red and swollen due to infection. When she first saw the scars on the young man's wrist, she initially thought it was all caused by iron chains. Now she discovered that this wasn't a strangling mark, but it was cut by a sharp blade. Heshi gently stroked the boy's red and swollen scars, and she asked in a low voice, "Does it hurt?" The boy seemed to feel her depressed mood, and he immediately made a whining sound. Then, he made a move that shocked Heshi. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hela's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. The young boy grabbed Heshi's hand, put her palm close to his mouth, and blew gently. Heshi's whole body froze completely, and she looked at the boy in front of him in disbelief. The corners of the boy's mouth were lifted stiffly, as if he was laughing, but it became a weird muscle twitching. Seeing that Heshi still didn't smile, he thought she was still in sore pain, so he still grabbed her hand and blew again. Shao-chi! Heshi let out a cry that was almost whine, and suddenly reached out her hand to stroke the young boy's face. She looked at the young man's face in a stun, not letting go of any details. The more she looked, the more she felt they looked alike. The eyebrows and facial features all seemed to look like her little brother, Shao-chi, who had grown up. Not Nalan Heshi's younger brother, but the younger brother, Shao-chi, who on her in the orphanage in her previous life. Hearing her shout, the young man seemed to be stunned. And a bewildered and stunned light flashed in his eyes. The purple eyes also stared at Heshi blankly. Then, like it was a miracle, the young boy opened his mouth and shouted two words in a hoarse and chaotic voice, "Sis, ter." Hot tears slipped from Heshi's eyes, wetting her clothes, but she didn't notice it. It was not clear whether the tears belonged to Heshi or Nalan Heshi, but the sister hit the softest part of her heart. Heshi hugged the boy's dirty and smelly body into her arms and murmured in a trembling voice, "Shao-chi." Shao-chi, the little figure that stood in front of her again and again to protect her. The younger brother who was willing to walk into the hellish laboratory for her. He was the only relative she had in her previous life, and one that couldn't be replaced by someone else again. But now, Xiaoqi appeared in front of her. No matter whether the boy in front of him was Nalan Heshi's younger brother or Heshi's younger brother, in this life, she will definitely protect this boy from any harm. When the boy was embraced by Heshi, he panicked for a moment, and he instinctively wanted to escape. But slowly, the familiar fragrance from Heshi's body came into his nose, which was a smell that made her extremely longing and miss. The young boy's nervous eyebrows slowly stretched out, and he obediently leaned his head on Heshi's shoulder. There was a gurgling sound in his throat that resembled a beast being smoothed. He even turned his head over because of excitement and gently licked the skin on the side of Heshi's neck to express his intimacy and affection. Nan Gongyu, who had been watching by the side, had been hypnotizing himself that he was Heshi's brother, so he shouldn't be jealous and lose his temper. However, he couldn't bear it anymore. This little pervert, never mind that he threw himself into Heshi's arms, you actually dare to lick Xier. Are you tired of living? Nan Gongyu stepped forward with a cold face, clasped the young boy's neck with one hand, and lifted him out of Heshi's arms. As soon as the boy was pulled away from Heshi, he immediately tightened his nerves. His face was full of fear and alert. However, when he felt the powerful aura emanating from Nan Gongyu, he immediately calmed down. It was just that the long abusive life made him feel dangerous. He couldn't help shivering and let out a low, heart-wrenching moan. Heshi immediately stood up nervously and shouted in a low voice, Nan Gongyu, what are you doing? Don't you know you will hurt him? Nan Gongyu frowned, and he looked at the young boy in his hand with more hostility. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. This kid is really annoying. Xier actually shouts at me for him. However, he didn't show his annoyance on the face. He just said in a gentle expression, Xier, this is not a place for reminiscence, let's leave here as soon as possible. This kid, your brother has been locked up by Nalanjingza for so long, he may have did something to him. If he finds out, it will not be good. Heshi immediately realized it and looked at Nan Gongyu with guilt. Sorry, I lost my manner just now. You're right. We have to find a way to prevent Nalanjingza from discovering that Xiaoqi is missing. Nan Gongyu put the teenager on one side, hugged Heshi in his arms, and said softly, Silly girl, how can I blame you? No matter what you want to do, I will always do it for you. You are the only wife of me, Nan Gongyu. As he said, he glanced fiercely at the ignorant and somewhat scared young boy. He warned with his eyes, did you see it, brat? Your sister belongs to me, so stay away from her if you are smart. Heshi's face flushed. Her heart was touched and sweet. If it weren't for Nan Gongyu, I wouldn't know when I would find my own brother, and whether I could rescue him safely. Damn Nalanjingza, he actually used my brother's flesh and blood to get the title for miracle healer. He also kept my brother like an animal, letting him live a life that is worse than a pig or a dog. She originally didn't have much hatred for Nalan family. She was just holding the attitude of watching the good show from the side, but now it was different. Nalan Mansion, Nalanjingza, I Heshi swear that I will make them pay thousands of times for what they did before. Thinking of this, Heshi's eyes flashed, and she suddenly sneered, Nan Gongyu, can I trouble you to do something for me? Bring someone in here for me. Nalan Ziyun regained consciousness with the smell of rancidity that made him want to vomit. He opened his eyes in a daze, then he soon saw a thin, pale but handsome young face. The young man got close to him, looking at him curiously with his head tilted. His eyes flashing with clear doubtful gaze. Who are you? Nalan Ziyun stretched out his hand and pushed in a panic. While he was about to push the young boy's face, the young boy seemed to be frightened. He bit on Nalan Ziyun's hand. The sharp teeth tore open his skin, and even his bones felt the bite force. His blood gushed out all of a sudden. Ah! Nalan Ziyan let out an ear-piercing scream as he shrugged his hand. He felt an even more severe pain. When he took his hand back, he saw that a piece of flesh was bitten off the edge of his left palm. The intense pain caused a surge of anger and killing intent in Nalan Ziyan's heart. He, the young master, was so accustomed to being pampered, when did he have suffered such pain and humiliation? Looking at the young boy, a spine-chilling killing intent emitted from his eyes, and the spiritual power on his body fluctuated violently. The young man bared his teeth, holding a piece of meat in his mouth and showing a nervous, panic and alert expression. His hands were on the ground while he stared straight at Nalan Ziyan. Suddenly, a slender and white hand, like it was carved by a beautiful jade, lifted him up from the ground. The hand gently stroked the young man's hair, and she motioned for him to spit out the meat in his mouth. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/ The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. The young boy showed a somewhat aggrieved and reluctant expression, but he obediently vomited the meat in his mouth in the end. Immediately afterward, Nalan Ziyan heard a clear and beautiful voice, "Shao-Chi, you can't simply eat anything, especially human flesh. Eating it will only dirty your mouth and internal organs. Be good, sister will give you a lot of delicious foods in the future, you can eat as much as you want." This voice made Nalan Ziyan's eyes widened, his eyes were filled with disbelief. He recognized that this was Nalan Hashi's voice. Although her voice at this time seemed more attractive than Nalan Hashi's voice, he definitely recognized her tone when she said, "Sister." Nalan Ziyan's gaze moved and looked beside the boy. However, when he saw the person standing next to the young man, he couldn't help but exclaimed, "Shiyu? How can it be you?" That's right, the person wearing a black costume. His face looked shining under the light of the crystal stone. His handsome face was so pretty that no one could look away. If that person wasn't Shiyu who made brilliant results on breaking Spirit Mountain that day, who would it be? But, how could Shiyu appear here? Nalan Ziyan looked at Shiyu's figure. The tight-fitting black costume outlined the girl's exquisite curves gracefully and deceptively. It was like a devilish arc, making people couldn't resist looking at her. This is clearly a woman. How could he be Shiyu? No. No way. Nalan Ziyan's eyes widened in shock, and he said in a tremble, Are you a woman? Miracle healer Shiyu is actually a woman. Hashi didn't pay attention to him. She poured out a glass of spirit spring water and poured it into Shao-Chi's mouth, washing away the bloody smell. At this time, Shao-Chi was already wearing a somewhat large shirt, borrowed by Nan Gongyu, and his long sleeves and trouser legs covered the scars on his hands and feet. His hair had also been washed clean. It was curled up and tied by a jade hair band, showing a pale, thin but handsome face. It was just that Shao-Chi couldn't help wanting to scratch his head and face with his hands, so his hair that had just been neatly combed would always be messed up by him. After drinking the spirit spring water, Shao-Chi immediately showed a happy smile, muttering, "Sis. Sister." Hashi's eyes looked tender as if water was about to flow out. Every time she heard him calling her sister, she felt that her brother who was dependent with her had back to her side. The past, that made her despair and resentful, but she couldn't do anything, also quietly went away. Shao-Chi took Hashi's hand and bowed his head to get into her arms. However, before he could get close to Hashi, he was grabbed by the neck and pulled away. Shao-Chi let out an unwilling noise and was thrown aside mercilessly. A pair of hazy eyes stared at Hashi, with a look of longing and admiration, but because he was afraid of the owner of that hand, he didn't dare to approach her. Nan Gongyu took Hashi into his arms with satisfaction and prevented the little pervert in his mind from taking advantage of Sheer, then he chuckled softly, "Why? Sheer wants to replace Shao-Chi with this guy." Hashi sneered. Her eyes finally fell on Nalan Ziyan, and she said with a half-smile, "Didn't Nalan Jingza always want him to replace Shao-Chi?" I'm fulfilling his wish now, isn't it just right? Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/ the king of hell is genius pampered wife / to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun had been surrounded by shock and disbelief. It wasn't until he saw Nan Gongyu showing up, seeing the intimacy of the two, and hearing Nan Gongyu calling her Shir, he finally trembled uncontrollably. A terrible guess that he couldn't believe in death slowly appeared in his brain. His gaze stared at the beautiful girl in front of him, the girl who was carefully cared by King of Hell, Nan Gongyu in his arms, and he said tremblingly, "You are Nalan Heshi?" Heshi chuckled, "That's right, I'm the ugly Nalan Heshi who is useless and has no talent for cultivation in your words." "What, are you very surprised?" No. How is this possible?" Nalan Ziyun couldn't help but let out a sharp shout, "How could you be Nalan Heshi? How could you be Nalan Heshi, that trash? How could it be?" Heshi slowly squatted down, making a gentle smile, then she said slowly, "I have to thank you for this, my dear brother. If it weren't for you trying to kill Nalan Heshi, so you made an illusion that the crown prince wanted to marry Nalan Heshi as the side concubine, why would Nalan Feishua want to get rid of me? If it weren't Nalan Feishua trying to get rid of me by selling me into the gluttonous house, putting me in such a hellish situation, how could I reborn into the Shiyu today?" Nalan Ziyun stiffened for a while, and he suddenly screamed, You escaped from the dead, so you had unlocked Enlinghua's relics? You became Shiyu because of Enlinghua's relics?" Nalan Ziyun obviously misunderstood Heshi's meaning, thinking that her change was because of getting Enlinghua's relics. But Heshi didn't intend to correct him, she looked at him with a half-smile. Nalan Ziyun thought he guessed it right, so he couldn't feeling a violent surge in his chest. Enlinghua's relics. It really is the relics of Enlinghua. That relics can turn the cowardly, incompetent and unremarkable Nalan Heshi into Shiyu. That's Shiyu, who owns Xingda Hall and is accepted as a discipline by the mysterious and powerful pill refiner. He can heal broken veins and had astounding results in the Breaking Spirit Mountain big hunting match. Even more shocking is that if Shiyu is Nalan Heshi, then in just a few months, Nalan Heshi has advanced from a mortal who has no cultivation base to the peak of the foundation establishment stage. What a terrifying advancement speed is this! If it was me who got the relics of Enlinghua, then I Nalan Ziyun would definitely stand on the top of the Miluo continent and be the subject of everyone's admiration and admiration. Thinking of this, Nalan Ziyun's breathing became rapid. He stared at Heshi greedily and resentfully, and he said loudly, "Nalan Heshi, why do you keep mother's relics for yourself only? You're Enlinghua's child, and I'm Enlinghua's child too. I should have a share of mother's relics. What's more, I'm a male. It should be me who really inherits the family business. What do you mean by secretly training using the relics after unlocking it? Are you worthy of your mother?" Heshi couldn't help but want to laugh out loud. At this point, Nalan Ziyun could still actually ask her for Enlinghua's relics in such an righteous manner. She had to admire that his face was really thick. Please go to https://www. Novel updates. cc/ the king of hell is genius pampered wife / to read the latest chapters for free. When Nalan Ziyun saw Heshi's face looked odd, he thought she was guilty. He immediately slowed down his tone and coaxed, "Nalan Heshi, if you remember a little bit of mother's dying words and the friendship between us, then hurry up and hand over Enlinghua's relics and let me keep them. Don't worry, when I have peerless cultivation become a pill refiner at the Grand Master level, you will the sister of the Grand Master. Won't you feel glorious by the time, right?" Heshi was about to speak, but she saw the young boy, who had been hiding in the corner, suddenly pounced toward Nalan Ziyun fiercely. Nalan Ziyun's cultivation was naturally higher than Shao Qi, but he was in agitated mood at this time. He didn't pay attention to the surrounding environment, so he was caught off guard by Shao Qi and got hit the ground. His face slammed heavily into the mud, and the smell of mud rushed into his nose, accompanied by the smell of excrement and urine and the sour smell of food. There were even a few small bugs that got in through his nose and kept plopping deep into his nose. Nalan Ziyun was so frightened that he screamed. He got up with difficulty and sneezed out the bugs from his nose. He glared at the boy who just pushed him down. However, he saw that the young boy had already rushed to Heshi's side at this time, clutching her sleeve and showing an aggrieved and panicked expression. He said in a stuttering voice, "My sister. My, Xiaoqi, be good." Heshi gently stroked the boy's face. Her voice was soft and soothing. "Sister has only Xiaoqi, and I will only like Xiaoqi. Xiaoqi, don't worry." Hearing this, the young man immediately calmed down. His eyes were filled with happiness. He rested his hands on his chest like a faithful dog who had just seen its master. Seeing the young boy's instinctive actions like a domesticated beast, Heshi sighed. A feeling of sorrow and grief surged in his heart. Afterward, she looked at Nalan Ziyun and sneered, "Nalan Ziyun, sometimes I can't help but admire you and Nalan Jingza for the thick face. Knowing that you are not An Lingyue's child, knowing that we do not have any blood relationship, but you keep saying, 'mother's relics,' in front of me. Ha, even if there is a so-called, 'mother's relics,' what does this have to do with you, Nalan Ziyun?" Nalan Ziyun's eyes widened suddenly, and there were waves of unspeakable panic in his heart. This time he was really panicked. Fear, anxiety, shock and panic all came up together. He didn't know where this place was, or why did Nalan Heshi bring him here. He only remembered that he drugged Heshi. He thought he got it, but he turned around and saw her half-smile face. Nalan Ziyun thought Heshi brought him here to vent out her anger. But he never thought that Heshi would want to kill him. Because Nalan Ziyun was the younger brother of Nalan Heshi, the closest person to her in this world. Even if Nalan Heshi killed everyone, she wouldn't kill her own brother, right? But at this moment, Nalan Ziyun finally panicked. Nalan Heshi actually suspected that he was not her own brother. How could this be possible? Didn't his father say that when Nalan Heshi's real brother died, she was only 4 or 5 years old, and she didn't remember anything at all? Nalan Ziyun suppressed the panic in his heart, and he forced an awkward smile. "Sister, what are you talking about? Who else would I be if I'm not your brother? Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/the king of hell is genius pampered wife/ to read the latest chapters for free." Have you forgotten? When we were young, we played together in XINU house. When the second sister bullied us, you still protected me behind. Sister, don't joke anymore. It's my fault last night. I shouldn't set you up with Nalan Feishue. But I can't help it. Nalan Feishue and Nalan Yurong forced me to do so. If I don't do this, they will kill me. Actually, I have planned to steal the antidote for sister after they left. I definitely won't let sister marry Zhu family. Sister, you believe me, okay? Heshi raised her eyebrows and smiled. Nalan Ziyun, I'm so curious. Didn't you keep saying that you didn't have a useless sister like me? Nalan Jingza told you in the study room that when you and I are not real brothers and sisters, aren't you very happy? Why did you suddenly change your mind just now? You keep calling sister, do you think the word, sister is cheap? How do you know? Nalan Ziyun yelled in horror, how do you know what my father said to me in the study room? Nalan Heshi, are you a human or a ghost? What else did you discover? Heshi's eyes were faint and cold. She sneered, what did I discover? Nalan Jingza said that I'm not his biological daughter, does that count? You said you wanted to pretend to be my brother and defraud An Lingyue's relics from me, does that count? You two plan to marry me to the Zhu family to let me be tortured so that I will seek help from Nalan family and hand out An Lingyue's relics in the end, does that count? The more Heshi said, the more Nalan Ziyun's body trembled, and the panic on his face became more and more obvious. His body moved back unconsciously, and his voice was trembling. Nalan Hashi, what do you want to do? Don't forget that I'm the young master of the Nalan family. If you kill me, my father won't let you go. And although you are not the child of Nalan family has done its duty to support you for so many years. How can you requite kindness with enmity? Wouldn't you be afraid of being punished by God? Done its duty to support me for so many years? Hashi couldn't help laughing. Why do you know? Your dear father, Nalan Jungza, was standing here just now. He said, Enlingyu has 2 children, one was raised into a useless person and left in the courtyard to be bullied. Even the servants can beat and scold her. The other was tortured by him in every possible way, living a life that was worse than an animal. Is this what doing its duty to support me for many years like you said? Endless panic surged in Nalan Ziyun's heart. His body was trembling as he shouted incoherently, I don't know, I really don't know anything, it has nothing to do with me. I'm even Qixing Palace's disciple. If you kill me, you will not end well. Please, don't kill me, don't. As he spoke, he saw Nan Gongyu. He rushed over, knelt on the ground, and kowtowed to Nan Gongyu, Your Highness King of Hell, help me, please help me. I'm the young master of Nalan family, as long as you save me, Nalan family will become your possessions and work for you. And my beautiful elder sister, she is Master Shukong's disciple. If you want, I can give her to you as a concubine. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/the King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. I'm my father's most important son. In the future, I will be able to inherit the Nalan family. The Juku Lingshan pill prescription of the Nalan family will definitely fall into my hands. Your Highness King of Hell, as long as you save me, all these are yours, please, save me. Nangong Yuhaf half smiled and glanced at Nalan Ziyun who was kneeling and kowtowing at him. He then looked at Hashi and said helplessly, Shir, there are always people who want to give me a woman. But Shir can rest assured, my heart only has you. I will definitely protect my chastity for you. Damn your chastity. Hashi pushed away the head that came close. She said irritably, shut up. Don't talk nonsense. Nangong Yu only squeezed her little hand with a smile, and he stopped talking. The atmosphere between the two was intimate and sweet, but in Nalan Ziyun's eyes, his heart sank a little bit. Obviously, His Highness King of Hell only had Nalan Hashi in his eyes. He would not save Nalan Ziyun at all. Nalan Ziyun suddenly looked at Hashi and said tremblingly, Third sister, let me go, I'll steal the Juku Lingshan pill prescription from father's hand for you, okay? Right. Nalan Ziyun seemed to have suddenly remembered something, and he immediately said loudly, Third sister, I heard father said that he still has a trump card in his hand that can control you. He mentioned that as long as he still has this in his hand, you have to listen to him. Even if you marry to King of Hell, you will come back obediently. Third sister, don't you want to know what father has in his hand? I can help you find out. As long as you don't kill me, I will help you. Third sister. Hashi slowly squatted down and looked at him again, then she looked into his eyes and chuckled, Nalan Ziyun, don't you know what Nalan Jung's trump card is? But, I know. Should I tell you? Nalan Ziyun trembled again. He widened his eyes in fear. Hashi continued, do you know? I came to this place with difficulties. Do you know what this place is? This is the underground of the Nalan Jung's study room. In this underground, I found this cave. There was a young man in the cave. He had an iron chain on his body and an iron helmet on his head. He couldn't speak, and he could only make the sound of beasts. He ate and excreted in this cave every day. All living environments are only this square land. The rancid smell of excrement, rotten and moldy meals, daily whipping and insults, fear and pain of blood dripping from the cut wound. He was enduring all these every day. He said slowly. Her voice became cold and dull as if it contained gruesome killing intent. I was hiding above this cave, and I saw Nalanjingza walked in here, whipped the young man, and threw a dish of rotten food, let him kneel down like a beast to lick. Then he said, Nlingua, look at what your biological son looks like now, my dear brother, you say, who is the biological son of Nlingua in Nalanjingza's mouth? Nalan Ziyun's whole body seemed to be frozen. Fear and despair made his blood cold, and his hands and feet even trembled uncontrollably. His gaze moved slowly, and it finally landed on the young boy beside him. The young boy tilted his head, met his gaze, grinned, and stared at him fiercely as if to warn him not to rob his sister. He was even making beast-like roars from his mouth. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy. .com/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife / to read the latest chapters for free. She looked at Nalan Ziyun's stiff appearance and couldn't help but sneered, didn't you say that you want to bring me the Juko Lingshan pill prescription? I can tell you what is the main medicine of Juko Lingshan pill now. She walked up to the young boy, gently pulled his hand and pulled up his sleeve. The hideous scars on his arm were revealed. The old and new scars were intertwined, depicting messy and bloody patterns. You understand now? She whispered slowly, the so-called Juko Lingshan pill that can cure all kinds of poisons, that let Nalanjingza becomes Jin Ling Kingdom's first miracle healer, all it contains is the flesh and blood of my brother. As she said, she looked at Nalan Ziyun and smiled, you tell me, Nalanjingza has tortured me and my brother for more than 10 years so frantically, how should I repay him? For example, let him discover that Juko Lingshan pill has lost its effectiveness in curing poison, let his reputation be ruined, and let him lose the title as a doctor, becoming a person hated by everyone. Later, he will find that the person he tortures is his most precious son. Don't you think that is great? Nalan Ziyun trembled suddenly. He finally couldn't take it anymore. He screamed in horror, no. No. Forgive me. Sister, you forgive me, I beg you. That's father, no, that's what that animal, Nalanjingza did. It has nothing to do with me. I'm begging you, please forgive me. He looked at the silly young boy who was licking her hand like a puppy, then he thought of something. He shouted, Sister, look, that the real Nalan Ziyun is already a useless person. He is raised into an idiot by Nalanjingza. He is less than an animal. He has no intelligence at all, and he cannot help sister. I'm different. I'm talented and I'm even Qixing Palace's disciple. I will inherit the Nalan family in the future. As long as sister spares me, I will definitely treat you as my real sister in the future. For my sister, I will be more useful than this idiot. She squinted her eyes and watched his speech with affection and eloquence. Her eyes were cold, and she didn't speak. Nalan Ziyun thought she was moved by him, so he rushed to Nalan Hashi's feet, crawled under her, and said, Sister, if you still don't believe me, you can give me a slave soul mark. I will be loyal to sister and will never betray again. Even if my sister asks me to kill Nalanjingza, I will never hold back. Compared to that brother who is like a beast, isn't it more decent and more useful for sister to have me as your brother? Does sister want to be laughed at in the future that you have such an idiot beast-like brother? Sister, you are so smart, you know how to choose right? She finally couldn't help it and laughed lowly. Nalan Ziyun raised his head in horror and looked at the smile on Hashi's face in confusion. Hashi lowered her head and slowly said, Nalan Ziyun, these are your true words. Because when you thought Nalan Hashi was really your sister, you thought that way. Having such a weak and ugly sister, how embarrassing was that? Therefore, you wished her to die. You borrowed Nalan Fashua's hand to get rid of me. Then Nalan Hashi really died. She died in your hands. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/the king of hell is genius pampered wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Nalan Ziyun forced a smile. Sister. Sister, what are you talking about? Aren't you still alive standing in front of me? Has she turned her wrist, and a silver needle appeared in her hand. Her phoenix eyes were cold and sharp. She looked at Nalan Ziyun with a faint purple light as she said word by word, Nalan Ziyun, I told you so much nonsense today because I just want to tell you a sentence that the previous Nalan Heshi wanted to tell you. There will be retribution in what you have done. Nalan Ziyun, it's time for you to pay your debts. As soon as she said that, the silver needle was inserted neatly into Nalan Ziyun's acupoint on his neck. Nalan Ziyun's eyes widened in horror. His eyes were full of hatred, unwillingness, and despair. He had already realized what kind of terrifying future and ending awaited him. However, there was no turning back now. Confirming that Nalan Ziyun has passed out, Heshi quickly disguised his eyes, mouth, and body. In the void, there were the utensils she used to disguise. Of course, there were also fake pupils, so she put the fake pupils on Nalan Ziyun. She made several scars that were exactly the same as Shaoqi's scars. There were also old and new scars on his body. She did a certain amount of disguise. At least for a short period of time, no one would be able to notice it. Afterward, Heshi began to stretch out her hand to peel off Nalan Ziyun's clothes. Seeing this, Nangongyu finally couldn't sit still. He pulled the girl close to his arms and said with a sullen face, Don't look at other men's bodies. I'll forget about Shaoqi, that kid. They are brother and sister, and his body was so dirty that his skin couldn't be seen clearly. How can I let Sheer strip his clothes and even see his body? It must not be allowed. Therefore, His Royal Highness King of Hell could only remove Nalan Ziyun's clothes by himself. He also applied mud, food residue, and disgusting excrement on his body. After finishing all this, he put on the iron helmet and chains for him. The unconscious Nalan Ziyun curled up in the corner, looking exactly like Shaoqi. Nangongyu then cleaned himself up while allowing Heshi to turn around to check the results. Heshi was naturally very satisfied with the result. She just thought that the noble King of Hell actually could condescend himself to do that. She couldn't help feeling touched in her heart. Shaoqi tilted his head and looked at the figure lying on the ground curiously. His eyes were emitting purple rays. He felt so familiar with such a scene, he was so familiar that the sorrow and despair surged in his chest, but he had an unspeakable hope. Tears slowly flowed down from his face. Heshi touched Shaoqi's head and smiled at Nangongyu. Nangongyu picked up Shaoqi's neck, hugged Heshi with the other hand, and disappeared from the cave. The underground cave became quiet and dark again, like a corner forgotten by the world. It was more lonely than the cage and colder than the tomb. There would be an endless hellish despair waiting for the man inside the cave. == The Zhu family mansion. Throughout the night, Mr. Zhu smiled complacent. Zhu Zhongba even toasted with all the guests with his big fat belly. He was smiling happily. Hearing the envy of everyone in his ears, Zhu Zhongba was even more irritated. He couldn't wait to consummate with his pretty wife. After drinking a lot of alcohol, Zhu Zhongba finally finished the toast. He walked toward his bridal chamber hastily. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/the king of hell is genius pampered wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Seeing that his son was leaving, Zhu Yichun quickly stuffed him with a pill. He smiled evilly, Son, you also know that the little lady Nalan family is not happy to marry you, she may cause trouble tonight. You smash this pill when you enter the room. Then, she won't have the strength to resist you. Once you get her body, she will be yours completely. Zhu Zhongba was a little stupid, but not completely stupid. He immediately smiled in understanding when he saw the pill. The father and son were whispering, but they didn't know that two women dressed as a maid were looking at this side coldly not far away. One of the maids in a lotus-colored floral dress said in a low voice, "The fat pig of the Zhu family is really shameless. He even dares to covet our miss, humph. Is he worthy of our miss with his ugly and disgusting appearance? Sister Si Qin, should we destroy that pill?" The other maid called Si Qin sneered, "Idiot, what should we destroy it? Isn't it better for Fatty Zhu to use the pill? Don't forget, Nalan Heshi lies in the room. After Fatty Zhu uses it, what is done can't be undone. Hee. By the time, even if Nalan Heshi says that she is wronged, do you think anyone would believe her?" As Si Qin, a cold and harsh expression slowly appeared between her brows. She was Nalan Feishua's personal maid, and she was likely to become her Miss husband's concubine when her Miss marries. If Nalan Feishua could marry the Crown Prince and become the Crown Prince's wife, then one day she would become the Crown Prince's concubine. She could even become the Emperor's favorite concubine one day. Compared to Nalan Feishua marrying the fat pig, Zhu Zhongba, the treatment was totally different. Therefore, Si Qin would never allow it. She must let Fatty Zhu and Nalan Heshi match successfully. You go and give Fatty Zhu a hangover soup. Make sure that he can't see who the bride is when he enters the room. A meaningful smile appeared on Si Qin's face. The maid, who was wearing a lotus-colored flower dress, immediately leaned forward intently. "Master Zhu, you are the bridegroom tonight, how can you become drunk? What if you scare our miss?" Seeing the maid, who sent him the hangover soup, was pretty, Zhu Zhongba was bewildered in his heart. He took the bowl and drank without hesitation. When returning the bowl to the maid, he also stretched out his fat hand and touched the maid's smooth face, muttering, "What a beautiful girl. I will ask your miss to marry you me in the future. I'll let you become my 11th concubine. You will enjoy a good treatment in the future." The maid smiled to go along with him, but she was extremely disgusted with the fat man in her heart. When she thought of the person inside and the joke between the Zhu mansion and Nalan Heshi tomorrow, her face showed a sinister smile again. Zhu Zhongba drank the hangover soup sent by the maid. When he walked into the room, he was already dizzy. In fact, as a martial artist, ordinary wine wouldn't make them drunk. But Zhu Zhongba's cultivation was too low after all. He was just at the qi refining stage. Together with the soup which was given by Nalan Yurong to the maid, the effect was amazing. It could let Zhu Zhongba hallucinate, but he wouldn't lose consciousness and the ability to act. Si Qin and the maid stood by the door, waiting quietly. Sure enough, the sound of two body clashing came from the inside. There were also muffled shout, screams, pantings, moans, and cryings. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Heshi originally planned to stay alone in Nalan Mansion until the revenge was completed before leaving, but the appearance of Xiaoqi made her change her plan. She remembered when she was in the Murong Mansion, the man in grey who suddenly appeared because of Murong Feng's death. If she left Xiaoqi by her side, what if an expert of the nascent soul stage appeared and hurt Xiaoqi? Heshi originally wanted to send Xiaoqi back to Sealed Dragon Domain's secret territory. That should be the safest place, but it was stopped by Nangong Yu. One was that Sealed Dragon Domain's secret territory was outside the city, which made it inconvenient to come and go at night. The other was that besides those traumatic injuries, there should be many hidden diseases on Xiaoqi, so he needed better treatment and protection. Nangong Yu said, "Sheer, I admit that I have seen countless rare materials in the world, but I have never heard that someone or martial artist's blood can cure all kinds of poisons, reviving the dying person, and letting fresh grow on bone. There should be an important secret in your brother's body. Why don't we send him to my mansion? Let me protect him, then his personal safety will be guaranteed." After weighing, Heshi agreed without hesitation. Nangongyu looked at the sleepy teenager who was being carried in his hands, and a slight smile was raised at the corner of his mouth. Shear's younger brother. If he lives in the King of Hell mansion, I believe Shear will visit him from time to time, and I don't have to worry about this damn boy always throwing himself to Shear. The three rushed to King of Hell mansion overnight. It was already midnight now. Although there was still light in the King of Hell mansion, it was silent. Qing Long and Bai Hu, who were guarding the house, immediately greeted Nangongyu when they sensed the arrival of Nangongyu. When he saw Heshi next to Nangongyu, Bai Hu's eyes immediately lit up. "Princess." Heshi frowned. She always felt that Bai Hu was looking at her like she was fat meat. As he was being stared by Nangongyu's stern eyes, Bai Hu leaned in front of Heshi and said, "Princess, I heard Wu Yu say that you let him taste a lot of delicious food in Sealed Dragon Domain's secret territory. I even searched for Princess outside the secret territory in vain. I didn't even get to have a meal in the end. Princess, you can't be unfair. You prepare delicious foods for Wu Yu, you can't just not prepare for me, right?" Heshi's mouth twitched. As she was about to speak, Nangongyu waved his sleeve and Bai Hu was thrown far away. "Shear, ignore him, let's go in." Nangongyu didn't care about Bai Hu's grievance in his eyes at all. He held Heshi in one hand and Shao Qi in the other, walking into his house. Qing Long glanced at Shao Qi, who had fallen asleep and still had saliva in the corner of his mouth, and he couldn't help saying, "Master, this is Shear's brother." Nangongyu said faintly, "He will live in the mansion for a period of time in the future. You know what to do, right?" "Yes, master." Qing Long couldn't help raising his eyebrows. It turns out to be the younger brother of the princess. It's no wonder that the master who never let strangers get close would carry such a person. In the huge room, a sleepy Shao Qi was lying on the bed. Heshi used her spiritual power to check his meridians and dantian over and over again. However, no matter how she checked, there was nothing wrong with his body except for some weakness and excessive loss of blood. Heshi couldn't help frowning. In Nalan Heshi's impression, Shao Qi disappeared when he was about 5 years old. He should have his memory and mind at that time. If it weren't for drug control or brain damage, it would be impossible for him to be reared like a beast as he was now. He didn't have a sound mind at all. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/The King of Hell is Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. Heshi at first thought that Nalan Heshi let Shao Qi take the medicine that would make him lose his mind, so he became like a beast now. However, after some examination, there was no sign of being poisoned at all. His mind was intact. There was no sign of injury. In other words, with her younger brother's current situation, if she could put some effort in teaching him, it wasn't enough to let him gain the wisdom to live like a human. Heshi couldn't help frowning as she watched the young boy who slept soundly on the bed but habitually maintained the sleeping posture of a puppy. Obviously, this was beyond the scope of medical skills which couldn't be solved by Heshi now. What should I do? Do I really want to see my brother living like a beast? Without dignity? Without wisdom? How can I allow it? Heshi raised her head. Her eyes were a little confused looking at Nangongyu. She said in a low voice, "Nangongyu, can you save Shao Qi?" Nangongyu sighed and finally got up from the chair. He took a few steps forward, embracing the girl's soft body in his arms and pinching the tip of her nose. He chuckled softly, "You heartless little girl, after watching your brother for so long, you finally noticed my existence? I almost become a husband-waiting rock. So long." Heshi couldn't help but looked around, only to realize that the sun was rising on the sky outside the window that was originally black. This must be at least 2 or 3 hours, right? Nangongyu just sits next to me and waits for me. A touch of guilt surged in Heshi's heart, but she felt more warm and sweet. She grabbed the man's big palm and gently rubbed the thin callus on his palm, not knowing what to say for a while. Nan Gongyu looked at the haggard and cyan under her eyes, and his heart felt distressed. After all, the person lying on the bed was Shear's brother. He had known Shear for so long, and he had never seen her emotions fluctuate so vigorously today. No wonder she was so worried. Don't worry, no matter what disease your brother has, I will find a way to cure him. Nan Gongyu took the first 2 steps and channeled a wave of spiritual power to pour into Xiaoqi's body. After a while, he couldn't help frowning. There was a dignified look in his eyes. He couldn't help but said, "Did you find anything?" Nan Gongyu shook his head, nodded again, and then closed his eyes tightly. He separated a strand of divine sense into Xiaoqi's body. After a long time, Nan Gongyu opened his eyes and exhaled slowly. His face was a little pale, and the blackness under his eyes was heavier as if he had been greatly depleted. He quickly took out a bottle of 9th secluded spirit spring and let him drink it slowly. Holding her slender wrist, Nan Gongyu chuckled while drinking water. "My princess is really virtuous, knowing that I'm thirsty, so you personally feed me the water." She glared at him, ignoring his ridicule. She checked his pulse carefully. After making sure that it was just his vitality depleting and weakening, she was relieved. After Nan Gongyu drank 9th secluded spirit spring, his face looked better quickly. He then put away his hippie smile, and said with dignified, "Shear, your brother's 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls, 3 Hun and 7 Pa, it seems that a part is lacking." 3 spiritual souls and 7 physical souls. She exclaimed, "How is it possible? I remember that there are records in ancient books that Miluo continent does have some evil martial artists who use the spell of soul stealing. However, no matter which kind of spell, it is impossible to hurt the human brain at all. Please go to https://www.qzxyzy.com/the King of Hela's Genius Pampered Wife/ to read the latest chapters for free. You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.